Shocking scenes out of Minneapolis. I think it's fair to call this at this point, I don't know, we've been saying civil strife for a while, but when you find out that there are state government officials, politicians that are actively organizing paramilitary actions and shadow law enforcement, it's like, do we call it a civil war yet? Some of you may be saying, wait, slow down there, Tim. What are you talking about? Well, I'm sure most of you have heard about the shooting of Alex Pretti. CBP agents in a scuffle. They yell, gun, gun. The guy's got a gun. One of the agents appears to disarm him. Looks like the gun may have gone off accidentally, and then they shot and killed this guy. Instantly, there's an occupation, an autonomous zone, something coordinated. We're now seeing videos of people being pulled over by de facto law enforcement that demand their papers to prove who they are. They have a database where they're tracking license plates. Someone in government is giving them this access or deeply involved. And it appears we have confirmation that government officials and politicians in Minnesota are actively a part of an insurgency network to rebel, I'm not kidding, against the federal government. In fact, they call it a resistance network. And they admit, these politicians, that they are actively organizing this. Call it whatever you want. Now, we got to break down for you what happened with this shooting, of course. We're going to break down for you currently what's happening over the past weekend. There was a Hilton, I think it was a home too, ransacked. And there was an officer there from the Federal Bureau of Prisons who was bashed in the face with a brick, left bloody. And after all of this and everything we learned, it appears Trump is standing down, stating that he's talked with the mayor and the governor. They're going to cut a deal. He's pulling CBP Commander Bovino out, with some reports that Bovino is being relieved of duty, though it's being disputed. That's the case. Homan's going to go in and negotiate. So people are pissed. But we'll talk about it. There's a lot to go over and break down. Plus, we got a story about apparently a librarian in West Virginia was trying to recruit people to kill Donald Trump. I don't even know this guy. This is crazy. Crazy stuff. But we'll break it all down for you. Before we get started, I've got a great sponsor for you. It is the Rumble Wallet. You got to go to wallet.rumble.com and pick up your Rumble Wallet. They can freeze your accounts, shut off your cards, lock you out of your own money overnight. Banks don't protect you, they control you. That's why real financial freedom starts with ownership. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a non-custodial wallet built for people who refuse to give control. Now, what does that mean? You say, oh, Tim, what's non-custodial? It means nobody controls the money but you. It means you have an app, the money's there, you're not getting banned from your own wallet. You keep it. With Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy digital currency like Bitcoin and Tether. You can also own Tether Gold, real gold on the blockchain. Through Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical gold bars, each one fully allocated, verifiable by serial number, purity, and weight. It's not paper gold, it's not an IOU, it's real gold without bank vault storage fees or gatekeepers. And I don't know if you guys saw, but gold's through the roof. Yikes. You can buy, sell, or move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if you want, you can redeem it for physical gold. That's power. And when you support creators on Rumble, you can tip them directly using Rumble Wallet, peer-to-peer and outside the banking system. No permissions, no middlemen, no cancel button. It's yours forever. Go to wallet.rumble.com. Check it out. Don't forget, pick up some Cast Brew coffee while you're at it. Cast Brew is the best coffee in the world. Everyone agrees. We got Appalachian Nights, the top seller. A robust, dark blend that I made myself. No kidding. We ordered a bunch of coffee. I measured them out. I developed the favorite flavor profile, brewed it, and said, that's perfect. And we didn't actually think it was going to take off. So it was kind of just, I did it for fun, but everybody loved it. And now we sell them like crazy. So pick up some Appalachian Nights, but also Ian's Graphene Dream. Surprise, surprise. Ian said, I need some low acidity coffee. You know, and we were like, yo, okay, Ian, whatever. You're always talking about some weird kooky hippie stuff. And then everybody was like, actually, Ian's right. You shouldn't be mean to him because this is important. Low acidity coffee, it's good for your stomach. It doesn't hurt so much. And we sell this second best seller. So shout out to Ian. Again, castbrew.com, pick it up. Don't forget to smash the like button. Share the show with everyone. You know, we got a couple of guests joining us tonight. Sir, why don't you go first? Introduce yourself.
Tom Renz, attorney, podcaster, writer. Just basically a cause and trouble everywhere, man.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And this fine lion-maned sir.
Good to be back. And I met Tom Renz for the first time in real life. And like everybody else I meet in real life, he's a solid foot taller than me. But I recognize him from the internet.
He's like 12 feet taller than you.
Yeah, Viva Frei. David Frei, former Montreal litigator.
Actually, we have someone else here, too.
I'm Libby Emmons. I'm super glad to be here. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Post-Millennial and Human Events, and I'm really excited to announce tonight that I am launching a new podcast. It's called The Pod Millennial, and we dropped it tonight, just a day early. Normally it's going to be launching on Tuesdays, but you can check it out at thepodmillennial.com.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's get into it.
Now, the first big story that we need to break down, which came out over the weekend, comes from Cam Higbee, Minneapolis Signalgate. I think Signalgate may already exist as a scandal.
That's already
that was
a thing.
Right, that was with
Pete Hegseth.
yeah,
and
right.
The other,
so
and
we got,
everybody.
but
And
people
the
are calling
Atlantic,
it.
yeah.
People are calling it Signalgate. Here's the story. As it turns out, there are Democrat politicians and government officials actively a part of what they refer to as a resistance network, where they're providing government resources and acting as de facto law enforcement so that they can, as a state, rebel against the federal government. And this is not an exaggeration. They call it a resistance. Call it whatever you want. Cam Higbee says, I've been undercover inside the group for days. You'll notice emojis next to people's names. The highlighted positions are the most crucial. Most self-explanatory. Mobile patrols send their entire shift searching for suspicious vehicles. They have plate checkers. And let's see if I don't know if I have this pulled up, actually. I don't think I do. They have a database of license plates. Now, the question is, who is giving them access to the state license plate registry? Well, somebody is. And they're using that to compile a list of names and associate them with vehicles to figure out who's doing what. Notably, James O'Keefe was identified by his vehicle, and they knew his license plate, which means they'd not only have access to the database, the plate database, someone's granted them access, but the car rental agencies as well. James O'Keefe said it was insane that they were employees at these hotels that were ratting them out. This is not just some activists protesting. This is a city and statewide insurgent network. These people have been operating a shadow law enforcement operation. It's now being exposed. And, I do want to get into this is the biggest component of this. Of course, we need to get into the shooting of Pretti. But as it turns out, it's being reported that Alex Pretti, the man shot and killed by CBP, was an active member of this insurgent group. Now the question is, what is going on and what will be done about it? Who are these people? How deep does this go? And I'll make this argument. The only reason we know about this one is because Trump sent in the troops. When CBP and ICE became active in Minneapolis, these people fought back, and they fought back to an extreme degree. But the operations that we see in other places aren't as heavy-handed, and there's more cooperation from the state. So these networks don't get exposed. I'd be willing to bet California, Washington, Oregon, Colorado, New Mexico, many of these deep blue states have the same kind of insurgent networks with politicians actively providing direct access to state infrastructure. But we don't know about it because they have no reason to reveal what they're doing behind the scenes. Now, unfortunately, Trump's saying he's pulling out. So we can just kick it around and we'll generally talk about what's going on, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the Pretti shooting.
Is this the signal group that Peggy Flanagan, the Lieutenant General, is apparently a part of?
That's allegedly.
If it is allegedly, then we call this
as Southside Fran.
We call this Flanagate.
Yeah.
Flanagate.
There we go.
There are other local lawmakers who have bragged about being involved in this chat.
One of the Krasensteins was bragging about it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's fine when you have someone like that in these groups. But there's a state senator who was having a meeting. Lib's TikTok posted the video where he says, "I am running this chat. You can join." And it's one thing to say we have meetups and we protest. It's another thing to say we want you to go out and act as scouts targeting private vehicles. Now understand this. What we're learning about this signal, how they have a license plate database. We also know that these groups have been going around various neighborhoods and smashing up vehicles and looting them. Mm-hmm. All connected. This is not a protest. This is an insurgent. They call themselves resistance, right? You want to call them resistance? Sure. Equally as such, you can call them insurgent. They're using this network, and someone in the state is giving them access, and they're smashing up vehicles. They've already stolen weapons from federal vehicles. Let's just put it this way. We're there. I don't know what else you call this. This is state level. This is state senators, politicians, and government officials organizing this. What do you call it?
One of the people who was out looting the FBI vehicles and stealing documents and then reading the documents aloud on live stream. It looked to be the exact same person who was standing in the back of a pickup truck with Ilhan Omar giving speeches to protesters about, resist and we care and all the rest of it. So this really does seem very entrenched within Minnesota elected officials as well, within that. And what do you call that, right? I mean, it seems to me like you could call it sedition, you could call it insurrection. Yeah.
Insurrection is insufficient. Insurgency is because it's an organized network that's consistent, right? It's continuous. It's not like just one event.
Well,
And
yes,
it's
but
continuous.
it's the government doing it. So
And
I don't
it's
know if
since
insurgency is the
BLM.
right word either.
Right? It's since
Well,
BLM.
we
I mean,
called it-
Pretti was involved with the George Floyd BLM protests in 2020 as well.
we've got a great name, right? So we had J6 as an insurrection. How is this any different? Maybe worse. I mean, I'd argue treason.
It's
sedition.
substantially worse.
But here's the thing. Let me throw this out because I haven't heard anybody bring this up. Melissa Hortman, right? You guys remember Melissa Hortman?
she was-
So Melissa Hortman, former Democrat Speaker of the House in Minnesota, who voted against the Somali welfare fraud, ends up dead by a guy who claims Tim Walz told him to do it, who was a Tim Walz appointee, and no one investigates Tim Walz for conspiracy to commit murder.
Who was also neck deep in activist organizations in, I think it was the Congo, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
this is international.
And who was
So-
super into communist China.
Yeah, so-
It's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, so Sarah Adams is she's a former CIA basically targeter. She worked overseas a lot, and she's of the opinion that the terrorist networks overseas are at the very least involved, so that way they can get response times, track movements, get equipment information, routines, all that stuff. So even if this isn't just a problem domestically, this is going to spread to international, even if it isn't already.
Well, that was also the issue with the Somali fraud of Minnesota is how much of that money went to fund al-Shabaab
Yeah.
and international terrorist organizations. When you describe it, Tim, it sounds like the scene out of a Fight Club when you have your moles on the inside and he says, "We're good, sir." And I don't want to reach out the tentacles of conspiracy theory too much, but I do think back to Charlie Kirk's assassination, where if you have activists within organizations that tell you that you have security where you don't, so that they can be part of this resistance movement to go after these certain voices, part of me was always asking the question as to how the roof was left open. And if you have actors who are in on what's going to happen because people had advanced knowledge of it, then leaving deliberate weaknesses open, it sounds exactly like what's happening right now. And if they go after James O'Keefe by getting his license plate from the car rental, you have activists within who are participating in facilitating acts of violence against the people who are documenting it, speaking out, and arguably changing the mind. So that's where my mind goes, and I don't think it's totally untenable.
Let me show you this video, guys. This is from Frontlines, and it is an officer from the Federal Bureau of Prisons covered in blood.
This is the guy that got his finger bit off?
No, this is the guy who got bashed in the face with a brick. And now the question is why? They are at a home, was it Home 2 Suites or whatever?
Home 2 Suites in St. Paul, Minnesota.
And far-left extremists thought ICE was there, so they ransacked it. They showed up, they smashed out the windows, they tried fighting their way inside. There was a single cop, and this guy, along with this other guy, were sent to protect it, and someone threw a brick at his face.
Yeah.
At one point, you hear sirens, and then you see an ambulance go by. There's no cops,
So, like, imagine if the cops did this. Imagine if it was the cops, throwing something, shooting the protester, whatever. I mean, this guy's just standing there. They throw a brick at him. He's doing his job, right? So you got every right to protest. But imagine if the shoe was on the other foot. I mean, these people are out there, and this whole thing was supposedly kicked off, and it's a lie. Don't tell me it was actually this woman who, they shot. So you get this all over some woman who tries to run over a guy with a gun who's law enforcement, who, unknowns to her, had been ran over before. He defends himself. And this whole thing is supposed to be from that. And we're supposed to believe that there's that much outrage that we're going to have, this sort of a thing. This is planned. This is a network. And the real question I have is, why is there never any accountability from the people who keep organizing these things?
Because the point is the chaos. You know, they want the fact that all of ICE's operations in other states have gone smoothly it points directly at the fact that this is something that not just the protesters but the local and state government want. And you can pontificate about what the reason is, whether you say, oh, it's because of the alleged improprieties that Jacob Frei and Tim Walz are involved in because of the Somali daycare scandal or whatever. That doesn't really, I mean, that's not the point, because they are actively involved in this stuff. They are doing everything they can to inhibit federal law enforcement from detaining and deporting illegals.
Yeah, I mean, part of how you can tell that this is what they want is that they've done it before.
Yeah.
Right? So they were doing this in 2020. You had Tim Walz essentially facilitating the riots, then facilitating the Minneapolis Autonomous Zone. You had Jacob Frei taking the knee for George Floyd. You had their city council was working to defund police. Now Minneapolis, according to Jacob Frei, has 600 cops, which is far below what they actually need to manage the city. And that's after demoralizing their police force, defunding their police force, and all the rest of it. And during that summer, let's not forget, this came out during the campaign when, Governor Walz almost became our vice president. We heard that his wife demanded that they leave the windows open of the governor's mansion so that she could smell the burning tires of the protests.
That sounds like a meme.
It's for real.
Apocalypse Now.
It's for real, because she wanted to remember her white privilege. And I think another thing that's important to remember, and this is something I keep thinking about, is all of these leftists have for years been telling us about white privilege, right? And how white people get a pass and whatever. So what you end up with is this white lady, this white guy, they go into these protests, and I think they actually believe that they are protected by their white privilege. I think they actually believe that if they go in there first, they're not going to get shot. They believed that white, middle-aged white lady was in absolutely no danger because police are so racist that they would never shoot this middle-aged white lady. They believe that their privilege protects them. That's how racist they actually are.
Did she want the windows left open because she wanted to smell the be part of the suffering, or because she wanted to take pride in what she had done?
No, she wanted to remember what she had done and be aware of her privilege, and it's sort of like a whole big commie combo.
So she's certifiable, is what we're getting at.
Batshit crazy.
She's not. But Waltz left he was like, okay, babe, and he left the windows open. He was okay with it too. And you can tell that this is what they want because it is what they keep delivering. And we know also, and we were talking about this before the show, if it weren't for these sanctuary policies, there would not be confrontations in the communities, and we would not see all of this going on. We don't see it in other states. Florida, there's more deportations. I think California, New York,
Tennessee.
There's more deportations. Texas, there's more deportations than in Minneapolis. But we only see this mayhem in Minneapolis because that's what the elected leaders want to have happen. Yeah. And it is important to say that they're covering up, $9 billion plus in fraud.
This is the tragedy that Tim Walz needs to distract from the multi-billion-dollar scandal.
But he wishes now that he had waited instead of saying that he wasn't going to run again. Because he already said he wasn't going to run for governor again. I bet he regrets that decision now.
This is all, it is obviously all politics, but this is insurrection, insurgents, whatever you want to call it. It is politics so that they can get the screenshots or they can get the images and the sound bites to use against Trump and the Republicans in the midterms. That might be part and parcel of some broader scheme of funding international terrorism, but I think that is the bottom line element to this. It's activist blue states that are trying to get the clips, sound bites, and images for their next political promotional campaign. And then the problem is not to give them that which they so desperately want.
Every night, don't forget, all of these activist groups are holding online virtual trainings. The Women's March is holding a virtual training tonight so that they can tell everyone how to resist more and all of the rest of it. And they're just one group, that I'm still on the list of. And there's dozens of other ones that are doing the exact same thing. And there's pamphlets, there's whole documents that tell you how to use your car, how to de-arrest people, how to obstruct law enforcement without, taking any culpability for yourself.
I want to jump to this next story. We can get into the actual shooting that took place. You guys may have heard a man named Alex Pretti was shot and killed. Everyone keeps saying ICE, and that's my bad too. Initially, everybody thought these were ICE agents. They were CBP agents, so it's not ICE. But there's a lot to break down on this. And the one thing I'll tell you first and foremost is that everybody is lying. Everybody's lying. Initially, the Trump admin said that this is a guy who wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement, and that's absurd. There's no evidence to suggest that's the case. However, the left said this was an innocent guy who was just peacefully protesting and exercising his First and Second Amendment rights. That is also a lie. According to the New York Post, this guy is part of a network that is tracking law enforcement, pulling citizens, random civilians over, threatening them, forcing them to, threatening to kill James O'Keefe in that circumstance. This guy's part of a group that is trained to obstruct law enforcement, and they refer to themselves as a resistance network. Sure, if you're actively training people to track law enforcement vehicles and obstruct while armed, you're not a resistance network, you're an insurgency. Now, this guy, Pretti, sought to interfere with a law enforcement operation for which a scuffle ensued. Now, the left is arguing again that he's peacefully protesting. He's not. He certainly wasn't there to massacre people, but we're going to play the video for you. And there's some commentary that I don't think matters all that much, but watch this. Viewer discretion is advised. This does show the shooting, though it is grainy and low res. For those that are just listening, they're now putting him on the ground. He's resisting and trying to stand up. You hear now gun, gun. You could hear someone. Now you can see he's got the gun taken away. A shot is fired. And then they shoot the guy on the ground. Now, there's several important things to understand about this. First, it is not a protest. There was no organized protest. This was an active insurgent group tracking law enforcement. 3 people then get out and surround the CBP guy, 2 women and a guy. The agent then shoves them across the street. He keeps pushing them, knocks them into the ground. Pretti did not show up as a protester to wave signs. This is an insurgent group with government backing that was seeking out feds to obstruct law enforcement operations. That's a felony, okay? Then, when the police made a move to arrest him, and by all means, say the CBP is overly aggressive and didn't need to go that far. That's a fine opinion. I'm not saying it's right or wrong what they did, but he did resist arrest and he was armed. It appears that what happens is at some point as they're trying to pin him down and he's actively fighting them, they notice he's armed. It appears he has a gun in his back waistband. This agent, it appears, I believe he's an agent in gray, then pulls the gun out and someone yells, "Gun, gun." Now, the interesting thing here is this was a SIG P320. I believe that's what it's called. Yep. And when the agent then turns, it appears he's only holding the grip. The gun goes off. Listen. That is presumably the shot from Pretti's gun. However, he's actively holding a cell phone in his hand like this. So you've got agents trying to arrest a guy who's fighting them. One of them yells, "Gun, gun." He's got a gun. They grab it from him. The other agents can't see this. They hear a gunshot go off and then see a guy turn around holding a black object in his hand like that, and they unload on the guy. I don't think this is an instance of ICE executing or CBP executing. Certainly not ICE. No. They're not ICE agents. No. Or CBP wanting to execute a guy. But it's also not a peaceful protester engaging in First Amendment rights. You have no First Amendment right to be part of a network tracking license plates to obstruct federal law enforcement. That goes so far beyond obstruction. Let me say this. When the Renee Good shooting happened, you had a lawyer go on The Daily Show and say blocking traffic does not reach the level of obstruction. It's pretty serious. All right, lady, I'll give you that one. Fine. What about being part of a network that is driving around on shifts with thousands of people working with the state government to isolate, locate, and block federal agents from doing their jobs and actively fight them while armed? Now I'm going to go ahead and say that's obstruction, and then this is the unfortunate circumstance that happens when you engage in this behavior.
You made this point this morning on one of your clips. When you're being detained by law enforcement, the safest thing to do is go limp, right?
The activists are trained to do this.
Yeah.
I have been at these meetings. I have worked for Greenpeace. They tell you when you are being arrested, limp. You just plop down like a blob. they will pick you up and you do nothing. The fact that this guy's actively fighting, these are not your typical protest groups. These are coordinated, planned insurgents who have been told to get armed, who have been told to fight back, and he showed up with 2 mags. Now listen, I'm not going to sit here and claim you're not allowed to carry magazines or carry guns. But if you are part of a group that is giving you instructions to find and block law enforcement on shifts, meaning this guy has there's an authority, there's a hierarchy in a group saying, okay, Alex, you are on duty now. And then he brings an extra magazine with him. I don't think he was going there to massacre law enforcement, but he's not just a protester.
Well, this is someone also who spoke to his parents about his plans. After Renee Good was killed, he went and talked to his parents about how he planned to get involved in the protests. He'd been involved in protests before. They warned him about interfering with law enforcement. They warned him about getting too involved. But you also had Governor Tim Walz telling Minnesotans to track and film ICE agents, to keep protesting loudly, to make sure they had their cell phone on them at all times, and to get involved by filming all of the interactions between law enforcement and the arrests of illegal immigrants. He said that directly. And then on Sunday night, he came out and said that he was damn proud of Minnesota. You know, the governor is actively in favor of all of this stuff. And you put this guy out there, he's out there on these front lines, you know. I don't know. I don't know how you do anything other than comply when cops come talk to you. I am afraid of police officers. I'm just going to throw it out there. When I've been pulled over a couple of times, you know, I smile, I put my hands here. When they ask me for stuff, I say, I am going to reach into my glove box and get it, because I don't want anything. They're in an intense situation. They're in life and death situations all the time. I'm just some random person who doesn't want my life to get screwed up right now or ended because I do the wrong thing with the, you know, for the guy with the gun.
I've carried a gun almost every day for the better part of the past 15 years. Right. And I've had interactions with law enforcement multiple times. There was one time where I was driving. I had my gun on the console, got pulled over. The cop came up on the right side because it was on the highway. And I look over and the cop's got his gun drawn, flashlight on, gun drawn, because he saw my gun. Mm-hmm. Right. So what do? I sit there with my hands on the wheel and he instructs me to get out of the car. And I get out of the car. He puts me in cuffs, gets the gun, makes sure it's clear. 10 minutes later, he's like, okay, you're good. Gives me back my gun. See you later. Because I complied. I didn't fight with him.
You just got to do what they tell you.
You know what I love is these liberals who all of a sudden are libertarians and all of a sudden love 2A. And the Lolberts. I love the Lolberts. You know why I love libertarians so much? Because whenever a fight breaks out, they fold like cheap suits. So I don't have to worry about them at all. These libertarians come out and they're like, look, I'm concerned about immigration, but I don't think the government should be allowed. And I'm like, bro, by all means, scream into the wind. Because if anything actually has to happen, you're going to stand there with our arms crossed while we do the jobs that need to be done. But what I love so much about this especially is that these people who are saying, I thought you were for the Second Amendment, Tim. I was never in favor of the right to keep and bear arms to go and obstruct duly appointed law enforcement officials from a duly elected government because you disagreed with the policy position everybody else voted for. The idea that you were like, don't I have a right to go fight a cop with a gun? No, you don't. And the funny thing is, I love this. Guys, I'm going to let you in on a big secret. Did you know the Second Amendment was not about fighting tyranny? I'm sick of these people who have this like 7th grade American traditionalist view of the Second Amendment where they're like, the founding fathers were concerned the government would take over, but tyrannical government would oppress them, so they needed to be armed at all times. There was a factor in the Second Amendment of which was the regulars from the crown were trying to take our guns from us, for which we used to protect ourselves, and we said no. And if you allow us to take your weapons, you will be oppressed. But the principal reason for the Second Amendment was not just because they were like, guys, what if we'd overthrow our new government? In fact, a bunch of the founding fathers were like, we don't want to give the people guns. They'll overthrow us. We just want a new government. The principal issue is the general defense of a free state, which can be interpreted to mean fighting tyrannical government, but typically was about foreign invaders and not having strong standing armies. That's why the original article, of which I think it would have been Article 4 or 5 actually, before they got rid of the first two and then reduced everything down, actually had a provision about conscription not being necessary. Because the actual intent was, in a time of war, we need people to be able to defend their communities. They got to have guns. Only one component of that is in the event of tyrannical government. However, Thomas Jefferson, who famously wrote the letter saying that, what is it, every 200 years, the tree of liberty must be watered with the blood of patriots and tyrants, later went to say, yeah, I shouldn't have said that. And many of the founding fathers actually held the opinion that the crown was the crown wasn't necessarily the problem, Parliament was, and the king would not come to their aid. It wasn't this cut and dry thing like the king is bad. No, it was, we're not being represented in government. As it stands right now, Ulysses Grant, what he wrote was, you have redress of grievances. You have elections. You are not facing taxation without representation. So while you can try to rebel, you will be conquered by your betters. So the argument right now is this. I'll put it simply. First of all, when these people come out and go, Tim's a bootlicker for defending us, I'm like, no, you misunderstand. It's my boots. It's mine. I voted for them. I'm wearing the boot. I'm stomping on the ground. I ain't licking anybody. I'm clapping for these people that I said, please go out and enforce the law. And anybody else who's cheering for it, who voted for it too, we're all wearing the boots. You're the one crying. You're the one saying you're coming in and enforcing laws we didn't vote for. Well, I got bad news for you. The American people voted for the Republican Party in the House, the Senate, the presidency, and they got the Supreme Court. That means it's the will of the people and democracy that we enforce our immigration law. I'm not going to sit here and say that children should get wrapped up and abused or anything stupid like that. Your stories are fake and they're not happening. Mistakes are made. Those are bad. We'll figure that out. But the margin of error is always going to exist, and we are going to do what our laws say. And these laws were not written by me, nor are they written by the current Congress. Our immigration laws were written 30 plus years ago, 40, 50 years ago. I only ask as a voter, and I know most of you watching, that we have those laws upheld. So when I see DHS, ICE, and they go out, and they're armed, and they're putting down these protesters, and then people look at me and say, you're licking their boot. I'll bet you misunderstand. I hired the boot. I'm paying their bills and clapping for them. So cry more about it. But your lies and manipulations ain't playing with me at all. Because I got to tell you, I honestly don't even care about this argument coming from communists that they should have a right to keep and bear arms. You want to come to me and say, but what about your principles, Tim? Don't people have a right to keep and bear arms? I'll say, generally speaking, yes. But when a communist comes to me and says, I shouldn't be allowed to have a gun, I'll return the favor and say, neither should you.
The fact that Thomas Jefferson said that he regretted having said that later is one thing, but the fact that it resonated throughout the ages means that there's probably more truth to it than him having written it out of error. But, going back to the guy, and whether or not he was part of an insurgency, and we now have elements that he was an activist involved in BLM, the argument is going to be to play devil's advocate. At that time, they would have no reason to know that. He was only there with a camera and a gun, a concealed gun. The big question is going to be that as of the moment...
Stink bug on your chair.
A what? Oh, that's... No, don't.
You'll make it
so
worse.
This is not a bumblebee. The argument is going to be that they didn't know what he was an activist. They didn't know that he was there taking names and taking plates and whatever. And that might be irrelevant to what happened at the end of the day. The issue is that he willingly and deliberately got involved in an altercation. We don't hear from any of this footage that he announces that he's got a gun on him. And whether or not he thought he was righteously defending a woman who might have been abusively getting sprayed by pepper spray by these officers, this all happened within basically 3 seconds. There's some shoving, and then they find his gun, and then a shot rings out, and it happens within a second.
And he's holding a black object pointed in his hand.
No, and then people are saying, well, he was reaching for the holster, but the holster was empty. First of all, by the time they find out he has one gun, they don't know that he doesn't have more than one gun. And this happens in a second and a half. And I was, took a little flack for saying what happened to Renee Good was justified but unfortunate. This is another one where whether or not you think it's justified or not, it's a very predictable outcome from acting like an idiot. And when you say, you get pulled over with a gun in your car, I got pulled over coming out of my house in Montreal, and a cop stopped me because I looked suspicious, because I did, and I'm not going to mouth off and say, I'm coming out of my house and you don't have the right to do me.
Yeah.
It was, all right, here's my ID. I live here. Thank you for protecting the peace, not going in there and exacerbating volatile situations.
So here's what we know now. This guy was on duty as part of a paramilitary group, an active insurgency, organized with state support, state-sponsored insurgency. He was there to resist duly sworn-in federal law enforcement operations. So we're looking at combat. We're looking at a guy who chose a degree of force against federal agents, and this is what happens. I think the important thing people need to take away from this: none of anything we said matters. Only one thing matters to the average person, and in the deep reaches of their minds, they all know it to be true. All that matters is that this guy was an enemy combatant. If it turned out that he made a video an hour in advance saying, I can't live this way anymore, ICE must be stopped, I'm taking them all down with me, I'm going to take these guys out, and then he pulled out his gun and chambered around, liberals would not care. The right would say that proves it, and the left would say none of that has anything to do with what the CBP guy did. Everyone keeps saying that. They'd be like, yeah, but he wasn't doing that there. It wouldn't matter if this guy said, I want to exercise my rights, and I just so happen to be walking down the street and I see these guys. Maybe I can peacefully approach this officer and explain our position to him. It wouldn't matter if he did that, because the right is still going to say he was actively armed while resisting arrest. Because in the minds of the partisans, only one thing truly matters. Enemies got into a fight and one side took an action. If Pretti was being beaten and fighting, and then a gunshot rang out, and he rolled over, pulled out his gun, and shot the agent several times, the left would be arguing the inverse, saying, he heard a gunshot and heard gun. He thought they were trying to kill him. He's innocent. And the right would be like, they're insurgents, they're crazy, they must be stopped. That's where we're at. Look at Renee Good. It doesn't matter. You know what? Let's do this. I'm going to jump to this next clip. We got a segment for you guys. Let me pull this one up. Here's your proof. We got this post from Todd Anderson, Poker Night Todd. He says, if you look at this picture and see anything other than an unarmed and defenseless citizen being executed, please check yourself into a mental health facility. Society is worse off with you in it. F ICE. Well, here's the image. Let me open it in a new tab so we can zoom in on the image that he posted. Now, let's play a game. What do you guys see here, this image that this guy posted? What do you see here? Anybody want to?
I'll go first. I'm not an idiot, and I'm not going to come to a conclusion based on what is 1/8,000th of a second of a volatile situation. That would be
okay. Hold on, Viva. I'm asking you what you see in this photo. Please look at it. Please describe the photo.
Oh, I don't want to spoil the punchline because I know that Grok.
Well, you're gonna say the punchline.
Well, no, I see right now what the left wanted by way of their new poster. You know, enhance the negative, reverse negative, put it on a shirt. That's their new Che Guevara. I know what the punchline is. To this.
You're missing the punchline.
I see a headless guy.
I see a guy with no head.
Yeah, that second guy.
You do.
There is an ICE agent on the ground whose leg is made of who's got one leg made of robot parts, and he has no head. Because this is an AI image they fabricated.
Well, hold on. No, because the truth is, I didn't know that was the punchline. What I had seen,
there's no head, and his foot is made of robot parts.
No, but
his foot is a gun.
There's a screenshot that is relatively similar, and then someone had asked Grok if it's a real image, and it says, yes, this is a real image of a Russian soldier executing a civilian in 2022, and then the reply
Grok's
to that
crazy.
was, way to go, Grok.
So there is a comparable low-res grainy screenshot from a single frame. But what they've done is they've AI generated a version of it, and they're using this to make their claims. This, of course, based on the expressions and what they're doing, is meant to make you think this poor man is on his knees being executed. Now, certainly the original still does look similar, but you can't see their faces, as evidenced by the fact that this agent's head doesn't exist, because the AI couldn't even see his head. So the expression these guys have is fabricated. They want to create an emotional image. That's the point of AI generating this version of it. You can see in his hand he's holding something. Now, what he's holding in his hand looks like it might be a magazine, and he's got multiple thumbs. Whatever. The point is, they're going to fabricate whatever they need to fabricate to justify their worldview. And when you try and explain this to them, as I've done, they are too retarded to care, and they call me right-wing for it. My position right away was, DHS said he was going to massacre law enforcement. I said, that is a lie. That is not true. Wrong. It was a series of unfortunate events, likely because he had a gun. The gun went off. Other agents don't know that, and he's holding something black in his hand, pointed forward, so they unloaded on him. It sucks. But he's clearly resisting arrest. The response the left gives is, Tim Pool's far right. He was not resisting arrest. He was just having an involuntary reaction to men grabbing him.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We saw that, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we saw him having numerous involuntary reactions there for like 10 or 15 seconds, which anybody that's ever gotten in any real fights knows that a real fight doesn't last more than a minute usually. If it does, there's something going on. This whole thing is nonsense. Plus, let's not overlook the fact that he was in the process of committing multiple crimes, resisting arrest, participating in insurrection, a conspiracy to resist. I mean, there's so many different things that this guy might have been doing at this time. And, I mean, again, to me, though, this is something that the left is looking for. This is something that these people in Minnesota are looking for. They're trying to stoke war. They're trying to stoke this. They want this. They need this because they can't shut down what we all fought for. We fought for Trump to deport people. We fought for this. And right now, one of the things I was thinking about when Libby was saying earlier, particularly about the foreign connections, right? So these Somalis they're shipping briefcases full of money across the border to wherever, right? So here's the thing, does treason apply, right? Are we aiding and abetting our enemies, right? Is this comfort to the enemy? I mean, this is insane because we're sending money over there. We know all these illegals a lot of them came through the southern border or through refugee programs that Biden set up, different things. But a lot of these people are here illegally. They're clearly enemies of the state. I mean, this is an insurrection at minimum. I mean, is this a state-sponsored thing? I mean, is this sponsored by Somalia? Is this sponsored by some of our foreign enemies?
Democrats are actively involved in promoting it.
Well, 100%. But I mean,
Well, I'm going to get that video for people because I know that people are going to be like, what do you mean? I'll pull the video up for you guys.
The question I did have about, first of all, that fact that it took that long. This is generated from roughly the same pixelated image, and I went to double check that I wasn't having my own hallucinations. But
understand how this changes the context.
Everything.
And we don't know if they said, Grok, enhance this image and make the agents look callous and angry.
No, the question that I have is we're going to get, I presume they have body cam footage. If they don't, I still think...
They do. They've apparently they've confirmed they do.
The question is this, in that kerfuffle that lasted 15 seconds, does he at any point mention that he's got a firearm?
You can hear the people yelling, he's got a gun, gun, gun.
Yeah, now the question is he announcing it, or did he want either to go out in a blaze of glory, or did he think that he was going to go in there, shoot a couple of officers who he thought were abusively pepper spraying an innocent pedestrian, and he would be a folk hero as a result?
I don't think he was going to shoot anybody. I mean, to be fair, listen, there are a lot of people who are like, look, I carry multiple magazines with me. It doesn't mean I want to kill anybody. Sure, but when you're part of a group where you have shifts,
yeah,
and you've got the governments basically telling you that Nazis are taking over and we have to put an end to this now, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to, listen, it was not a protest. No. He was on duty. This is a paramilitary group in a chat with managers and bosses, putting him on duty to go out, seeking out law enforcement to obstruct them. And he decided, not only should I bring my gun, I should bring an additional magazine with me.
Well, he might have been waiting for an altercation that didn't involve federal law enforcement.
At the bare minimum, he expected the high probability of a firefight.
Yeah, no. I mean, look.
Right? Maybe he wanted to kill James O'Keefe.
Maybe he wanted. Maybe he. I forget who it was that was assassinated a while back, and then the guy gave an interview on Vice, and then the cops found him, and it was.
Oh, you mean Aaron Danielson?
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
Michael Reynolds shot Aaron Danielson twice in the chest.
Yes, exactly.
Walking down the street.
And then claimed self-defense. So
right.
I mean, this guy goes out looking. He won't do it to ICE, but if they find other agitators, if they find independent journalists, and then they get in a corner where there's nobody but them, and then he claims self-defense. Whether or not he was looking for trouble. He definitely found trouble, and the issue of painting him as an innocent victim, it's easy to do. But he's involved in intervening actively, even if he thought he was righteously doing so. armed with a firearm in a police altercation. You cannot expect it to go many other ways.
Here's a video from Libs of TikTok. They say the man who was killed by ICE was apparently an anti-ICE resistant signal chat groups. He was killed by CBP. Everyone got that wrong, even me. Do you know who's running the chats? Minnesota State Rep Alex Falconer. He admitted it. He's open about it. When is he going to be hauled in for questioning? Here's the video in question. And it's freezing on us because
Well, we can go with Falcon Gate now. We can
Is this gonna-
definitively call it Falcon Gate.
is this what X just does all the time, no matter
In
what?
incognito at sometimes.
We had I'm a community organizer at heart, and that's part of what I'm trying to bring to the legislature. I'm helping to lead the community response, rapid response network that we have, given any ICE situations. I have a couple cards here. I'm willing to stop in to stay around and talk with anybody that wants any more information. We've got a couple groups on the app Signal that we would love for you to join. Whether or not you want to be a part of the Resistance Network, I fully understand that you may not be comfortable with that, but you can help us in a lot of ways by sending an alert that if you see any suspicious vehicles, any traffic, if you know of anybody that is being targeted, that's being detained, we have resources immediately available that we can send to you, send to their family, get them legal help, help the families if they need food, if people are afraid to leave their homes to get food. We're working with the food shelves to try to figure out a way to deliver groceries. I know yesterday.
So you get it. I pulled up his Ballotpedia here.
Can you believe that
Democratic Party, District 49A, currently in office. So presuming that Libs of TikTok is accurate in their reporting, which I don't see why it wouldn't be, here is a state rep organizing active insurgency against the federal government, which a man who is, again, Cam Higby shows, they turn their shift on and off. They show their emoji, I'm on duty. This guy got armed and said, I am going to actively seek out federal law enforcement and get in their way. Sponsored by the state.
Even back it up to the point where you don't have to assume he's partaking in that insurgency. Just from a political perspective, this is a guy organizing how to protect illegal aliens within his jurisdiction. Set aside everything else. They've got homeless people, citizens of America, veterans living on the streets. This guy is out here clout chasing with who he presumes to be illegals, strategizing and organizing how he can actively divert resources to protecting illegal immigrants, and especially, presumably, because they're going after the violent criminals of them. This seditious, treasonous, whatever, this is the Democrat Party, and this is who is in charge of this state. That should be shocking on its face alone, all things other set aside.
Well, we've got more breaking news that was earlier in the show, but, we gotta get to him as we get to him. There's a lot to cover. Trump has surrendered. The Atlantic reports Greg Bovino has lost his job. He is being pulled out. He has been ousted from his role as commander at large. Will be returning to El Centro, with others just saying outright he may have been fired. Now, Tricia McLaughlin says he is not relieved of his duties, but he is being pulled out. Tom Homan is being sent in, and I believe I don't know, I have the posts from Trump. I got so many posts, so much stuff is going on. We have this post from Donald Trump who said, I had a very good telephone conversation with Mayor Jacob Frei of Minneapolis. Lots of progress is being made. Tom Homan will be meeting with him tomorrow in order to continue discussion. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Trump. And then I don't know if we have, there's an additional post he made where he said Trump says he received a call from Tim Walz and that they were negotiating, and Tom Homan was going to come in and help settle this down. So it is largely being viewed as an overt surrender, the removal of Bovino, Homan being sent in to negotiate with the local government. Looks like Trump has standing down.
I hate the idea of any perceived weakness from the administration. I think that part of the reason why he's making the changes that he's making is because of the way the PR has been handled. A lot of people have been complaining about the things that ICE officers have been saying to the press. And I think that that's likely why, not because they're not handling the actual application of law properly. But I hate the fact that it looks like Trump is backing down. And I hate the fact that he's talking to Frey about this stuff. Like, the administration is completely in the right in trying to get the illegals out of Minneapolis. So to back down, I think it just makes him look weak.
It's a signal to Kathy Hochul and Gavin Newsom and Abigail Spanberger and all the rest of them that they should go ahead
Yeah.
and engage in these kinds of things. And if that means turning some of their citizens into martyrs in order to fight back against the federal government and expose what is apparently the weakness of the federal government, then that's what they need to do.
Donald Trump is not Lincoln. He is Buchanan, and I stand by that. I tweeted that, and a bunch of people were like, oh, high school reference, Tim, and you can't say that. Buchanan is largely considered one of the, if not the worst president in U.S. history. And the reason I say this is we have gotten to a point where, I'll tell you guys, look, obviously I'm not voting Democrat. These people are wackaloons. And Trump certainly is better than what they offer, but they're not in. And I think it's fair to say that Biden is substantially worse. Trump's actually not bad, but we are dealing with rapid social decay. Do you guys see silver hitting $118?
Yeah.
I mean, this is nightmare level stuff. For silver to get to this position, we have to have some kind of psycho anomaly outside of standard economics or mass panic that the U.S. dollar is about to just vaporize. And we're already at the point where the institutions have made those purchases a long time ago, and now the retail market's starting to buy up silver. I don't exactly know why. There's a lot of speculation around it. The point is, Donald Trump is overseeing the dissolution of the United States and its fragmentation. We are looking at active insurgency in Minnesota with Donald Trump saying, I'm pulling my guys out and we're going to have a negotiation. Great. That's what Buchanan thought he was going to do. The guy, Lincoln, first thing he does when he gets in is he goes send in the troops. Trump's not that guy. He didn't do it in his first term. He ain't do it in his second term. Maybe he turns around later on, but I have a feeling Democrats are going to win, tie his hands up, and he's going to be he'll be a Buchanan.
I'll take a hot take and disagree with all three of you. I don't view this as capitulation, and I don't mind that the left does view it as capitulation. What I view this as is sort of like, Dad comes home and says, I'm taking Mom's position, and now I'm here. Like I view Homan as the person who ought to have been there calling the shots from the beginning and not Bovino. And it would be like saying, like, if he replaces Pam Bondi with Andrew Bailey, some people might say, well, that's capitulation. He's like ceding to. No, I'm saying that you probably want to put the best person in there to avoid the bad PR that they've gotten right now. And had they done it properly and effectively, then you might have avoided this PR disaster to begin with.
Perhaps what's going to happen is Tom Homan meets with Tim Walz and says, I'm going to shove a boot at your ass. You're going down. If you want this war, you're going to get it. Maybe Homan's going in because Bovino is on the street looking like a fool, perhaps.
But Bovino had his issues, like allegedly lying under oath, according to a judge, to exaggerate some of the crises that justified their responses. You discredit yourself to be in the position that you're in. Homan, and it's arguable that Trump ought to have listened to Homan from the beginning and instead was going with Kristi Noem's decision-making, which is problematic at best. When you have Kristi Noem coming out and facilitating the argument that they're lying through their teeth about what's going on, you got to do something. Homan should have been there from the get-go, and I don't see this as letting Frei and Walz off the hook at all. Their beds might be made, and now you get someone in there who's going to really bring down the hammer.
I am not going to give Trump the benefit of the doubt, assuming that he's going to go in there and people want to imagine Trump's behind the scenes going, this Bovino guy is screwing everything up. Homan, get in there and shove your boot up their ass and tell them it's war. Not happening. The Epstein files, I think, prove it's not happening. Trump is behind the scenes saying, don't screw up my plans. This is getting in the way. Just walk it back, walk it back. Tell him Epstein's fake. And I think what's happening here is Trump's dealing fairly. I think it's fair to say he's dealing with Iran and China right now. Big issues going on with Iran negotiations. And Trump's sitting here being like, I don't care about your little skirmishes in Minneapolis. I'm dealing with potential war with Iran, and we got battleships in the Gulf. Go deal with it. And then when Bovino screws it up, he says, get out, Homan, you take care of it. I'm focused on this. I think that is likely what Trump is doing. But this means with an active state-sponsored low-tier insurgency, I'm not going to pretend like it's the Taliban or something, Trump needs to go in and say, your government is in control and we will not tolerate this. Instead, he's missing the big picture. And if he really is sending in Homan to put the fist down, it looks like to his already somewhat dejected followers, the black pillars, Dan Bongino calls them, that Trump is once again just surrendering. Yep. And so listen, being a leader is not just about being right. It's about proving yourself to the people who stand before you. I just watched Braveheart. Y'all have seen Braveheart, right?
Love Braveheart.
And when Mel Gibson, William Wallace, is standing before the Scotsman and he says, if you stand with me and fight, you'll win. And one guy goes, we'll die. If we run, we'll live. And then they all start laughing. And he's like, okay. And then he says, you can stand this day and let them know they can take our lives. They'll never take our freedom. And then everyone cheers and screams and agrees to stand and fight with him. Or, The Patriot. Talk about the best movie ever. Sometimes all you need in that scene when everyone's breaking and Mel Gibson's character grabs the flag and screams no and runs forward and they all watch him and they turn and run. Maybe he's wrong, but people see that and they see inspiration. And what I see right now with the Epstein stuff around Trump, and again, this is very much Beltway insider stuff. We know there's a viral post. People care more about the Seahawks than they cared about what's going on with ICE. In the political space, those that are most active, those that are most willing and likely to support, have watched Trump falter again and again. I'm not saying he's lost his base. I'm just saying that there's some people who are just like, are you kidding me? You're pulling. They had announced there was rumor circulating Trump was going to pull out CBP, the unit completely, not just Bovino, and then reassess. And then there was some back and forth. Some people said, no, it's not confirmed yet. Some journalists were like, we're reaching out to see if this is the case. Now we know that Bovino is being pulled out. They're claiming he hasn't lost his job. Some are arguing he lost his job, though, to be honest, I don't trust the Atlantic. Again, I'm sorry. It just looks like Trump is saying, I surrender.
It absolutely looks like that because he kind of is, right? I mean, listen, I on my own dime ran around the country fighting to get Trump elected. Why? Because I wanted accountability. It's not blackpilling for me to ask legitimate questions. And, you said something that was really interesting, Tim. You said it's not Taliban-like insurgency. Well, you know what? I don't know. What do we have there, right? So we have a lot of foreign nationals. We know a lot of terrorists were imported across the border when Biden had it open. We know that for sure. There's numerous intel reports on that. What do we have there? Now, we're not challenging these guys full-fledged. All these guys have guns, though. These guys are armed, paramilitary type training. I mean, we don't know what we've got there. If we push this, if we actually start deporting people on a massive scale, if we actually went in there, what would happen? How do we know they don't have it? We have no idea what we're actually facing. But what we do know is that we elected Donald Trump to clean house. We had elected Donald Trump because we wanted accountability for Democrats, for Republicans, for anybody who was breaking the law. And what we've got is weak-kneed, wussy rear end response. See, I caught myself there. But listen, this is pathetic. This is an embarrassment. For over a year now, we've been waiting for prosecutions of anybody of substance, and not once has it happened. We literally have the most embarrassing attorney general. I mean, this is like Merrick Garland Part 2. We have the same people in the DOJ and FBI that arrested and prosecuted J6ers like this, but they can't do it with these guys?
Well, maybe Bovino is out because he said that thing about how Pretti was going to massacre law enforcement, and that does not appear to be true. I mean, maybe that's more what this is about, perhaps, than capitulating necessarily. Maybe it has something to do with Bovino's comments.
No, Bovino, I don't even care about Bovino as much as I care about the fact that, we fired 150 or so FBI agents. There were 5,000 that were involved with J6. So those 5,000 FBI agents could round up J6ers from all over the country, put them in jail, prosecute them. There are hundreds and hundreds of them in the first few months. But we have a legit insurgency here, a legit insurrection, and we've got nothing. I
want to stress this too. J6 was before Biden gets in. And as soon as he gets in, within months, they're locking people in solitary confinement.
Immediately.
Finger snap, Biden got these people in jail.
The most sprawling investigation in American history. The reality is, I'm glad you're railing against Pam Bondi because you didn't get nothing. What you got was Pam Bondi getting on a flight and going to Minnesota to do a piece or a hit with Fox News.
And a strongly worded letter.
That's the most frustrating thing is she actually said
she did the meme.
Very strongly worded
she
letter.
She did the meme.
God,
and then what happens if he doesn't listen to it? We'll see then. We'll send another strongly worded letter. And then what does Tim Walz do? He makes fun of her for the failure to deliver on the Epstein files. I don't mind this. I don't see it as capitulation. Homan is the stronger one who should have been there in the first place. If he's going to reposition and get the right people in charge, maybe Bondi's next. but
Yeah.
he's got to get the right people there. There's no point going in there and making 5 more martyrs out of different people who are going to be very, who will be celebrated for having been murdered.
Are you telling me that I got to run for president of Viva? Are you saying I have to go do it because no one's getting a job done?
No, well, first of all, we thought there's time for Trump yet, and then we've got J.D. Vance, who I think probably sees more of the complaining from the base than Trump, who seems to be shielded to his own detriment. But yeah, you got a guy coming out and saying he was lying about Pretti. Embarrassing everybody who repeats it afterwards. Stephen Miller's got to be embarrassed. Yeah. Kristi Noem, if she's relying on that's got to be embarrassed. Well, and then you make the administration look like the liars that the left say you are.
They're trying to play the left's game. It doesn't work because the opposition to the left is because of their cult. The left lies all the time. Everyone else gets mad. So what happens is they say, then let's play the same game. Trump truths out that that the agent, Jonathan Ross, got ran over and is lucky to be alive. Okay, come on. That's not Bavino who said that. This is presumably Trump's policy because Trump's the one who said that nonsense. And then you get his administration all repeating the same nonsense. I think they were like, hey, if liberals lie, why don't we just lie? And then they found out the only reason they have support is because their base hates liars.
No, I think the guy who got hit by the car, he did get a little more injured than we initially thought.
Yeah, but Trump said he got ran over and he's surprised he's alive.
Nearly, and look, he could have been killed, but
nearly ran over.
Set that aside. Look, there's no capitulating in stopping to make mistakes and then reassess and look, Pam Bondi said they sent subpoenas for Frei and Walz. I'm sure something's going to come of that, #not, but it might be an indication that Trump understands the wrong people are not doing the jobs right now, and it's time to put the right people in.
So let me make a case here. So do you remember back when Ukraine sent the drones to assassinate Putin?
Yeah.
And do you remember afterwards they said to Donald Trump, they said, Trump, what do you think about them trying to assassinate Putin? He says, what? I don't know anything about this, right? And then later, there was another incident, right? Ukraine sent drones and they attacked Russia's nuclear fleet, which, I mean, could have caused nuclear war, right?
Yeah.
So we've got 2 instances. And in both instances, they asked Donald Trump, he says, well, I don't know. I haven't been briefed. I don't know anything about it. So, and this is a fair time later, right? 2 instances that could have resulted in global nuclear war. And no one bothered to tell the president? I mean, that's the kind of thing you interrupt a meeting for, right? It's global nuclear war. Maybe we should interrupt a meeting. Now, I've been talking about this, and I'm going to tell you guys, I don't care who wants to call me out and say it's BS, because I'm not going to tell you my sources. I've got more than one source in the White House, senior officials. They've told me over and over again. We get the same story over and over again. Pam Bondi, Susie Wiles. Susie Wiles is the gatekeeper. She keeps the only thing Trump gets is what Wiles gives her, and anybody that speaks out, like me, well, you got no access. You are cut. You're a black pillar. You're a monster. You speak out against Susie Wiles. And when I dropped the initial stuff on Susie Wiles, because I was asked to investigate some alleged campaign corruption during the campaign, I was asked by friends of Donald Trump because they're worried about him. So I look in and I keep seeing these things that just don't add up. And I'm not going to make any accusations, get myself sued here, although I've got the evidence to keep myself out of trouble if they want to try it. I looked at some funky things happening. Well, it kept going back to the same people. I'm going to tell you right now, Wiles is blocking. Nobody gets access to Trump unless it's through Wiles. This whole thing, I don't think Trump even knows what's going on. I don't think he's getting proper information. I think because this is not the guy that we fought for. This is not the guy who came in 2016. He's got a bunch of crooks around him, and until he wises up, and ultimately he's the boss. He's the boss. So until he wises up and figures out, hey, I got a bunch of crooks around me, and gets rid of them, this is the kind of crap we're going to get. No accountability, useless Pam Bondi, Pfizer Pam Bondi, who worked for Pfizer, right before she went in. And by the way, did you know that Pfizer Pam Bondi, right before she worked for Pfizer, she represented them in the year before she went in as AG. Do you know that on the first full day of her work, she changed enforcement priorities in the DOJ, and suddenly 2 OFAC investigations into Pfizer disappeared her first day of work. That's the most substantial work she's done since she's got there.
She was counsel in 2021. They
and 2024 through a separate firm.
And they are not reinstating Brooke Jackson's key TAM fraud lawsuit against Pfizer, and which was a Biden-era dismissal. I agree. Bondi she's not just the weakest link. I mean, arguably the most corrupt link. The problem with what you're saying is that this this was the exact same criticism everybody leveled in Trump's first term, and the problem would be if he hasn't learnt the lesson from the first term, or if he, I don't know, he just has, more disguised wolves in the henhouse.
Who do you like better for AG?
Oh, Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, well, for sure.
Absolutely.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Everyone's going to make the
Matt would've been
potato
good.
file joke now and accuse him of and there might be some substantial corruption behind that whole story because I know the details of that whole story. But he would have been better. I mean, quite clearly. Andrew Bailey would be better.
We do hear
Robert Barnes would be
Viva.
better.
we do
I don't
hear
know
an
about
awful
AG lately.
He was right. He was right about Bavino. I mean, I was going to say it before we went live. Bavino's out. Barnes called it.
Okay.
So the guy
We do-
should not have been there.
We do hear an awful lot more about Venezuela and Greenland and, foreign adversaries than we hear about domestic policy. And I think that Americans elected Trump primarily to say, foreign policy, we're going to put that on the back burner for a while. Let's really deal with what's going on in America.
Yeah.
And that is still, I think, I think that's still what we want.
America first. What the hell are we even talking about? Who cares about Greenland?
Well,
Why are we even talking about
I'm not
Greenland?
necessarily opposed
I-
to
Well,
some sort
I
of
love the
Pax
Greenland stuff.
Americanus and
I get the
go get some
strategic,
more
but I mean, for
territory.
God's sakes.
Our last territorial acquisition was what, like the Northern Mariana Islands in the 80s or something like that. Like by all means, go get some territory. Why not? But that doesn't mean that you can allow Minnesota to stage an
We
all-out
can't take
insurrection.
care of Minnesota. How the hell are we going to take care of Greenland?
I bet we could do a better job.
would be easier to take care of.
Greenland is
people in
only
Greenland than there are in
58,000 people,
Minnesota.
and it's a homogenous population. There's not a ton of immigrants
Hey,
in
if they buy Greenland for $1 million a person, I think you can get a lot of Americans to move to Greenland for $1 million.
Is there skiing up there?
I
gotta
don't.
be.
There
There's
will
no
be.
There could
soon.
be. Why
The,
not?
the issue is that
Hot Springs.
Yeah, why not? Let's go for
the
it.
issue is that you're right, and there's been a lot of talk about foreign policy. A lot of it is arguably not in America's best interest, but arguably it is. Then you make the argument for Iran, for Israel, for whatever. RFK Jr., when he announced his campaign, he said, a country that is at war abroad will never be at peace at home, and it's because you divert resources, you divert monies. The problem is with Greenland, I'm on board with Greenland, but you've diluted support for Greenland with issues like Iran strikes and the potential for more war there, which looks like it's going to, and Venezuela.
Didn't we just send like a whole
Apparently,
like Lincoln
people are
brigade
indicating
or whatever over that way?
The indicators for war are afoot, and then you have the people who elected Trump on no new wars all of a sudden saying, oh no, he meant no new protracted wars, and America first doesn't mean America only, and all of a sudden you can't carry firearms if you're going to large gatherings of people.
But we're all
Well,
black
it wasn't
pills
a
for
large
asking these
gathering. I
questions.
mean, let's
but
go
that-
back to that. That wasn't a large gathering.
Yeah,
that
and
was
the
that was a directed attempt to impede law enforcement,
Yeah.
and it turns out
He
that
put
the
his
guy
hands
that
on law
the
enforcement.
guy
No,
that Border Patrol
fought
was
back.
looking to arrest is still at large. He
Yeah.
escaped.
So like
So it was
I just got to push back on that. You can carry guns to all sorts of public gatherings and protests and stuff like that, but when you put your hands on law enforcement for whatever reason, right? He put his hands on the guy. That's what caused all
No,
of the
I-
mess.
I
If he'd have
agree.
gotten up on the sidewalk and just stood back, he'd be alive today.
And
just
he would
wanna-
have had video footage
guys.
of what he thought was abuse of a person.
I just need you all to see this picture of snow machines making snow in Greenland.
Love it.
There is skiing. This is a skilift.gl, and one of the photos is they're making snow.
What's the elevation of that mountain? It looks big in the distance, but
Oh, that looks
Well,
pretty
no,
nice.
but Tim
a
also,
little
you know,
night skiing on some glaciers.
I want to
Why
revise my position on Greenland. I like skiing.
well, no, the issue because it's cold doesn't mean there's a lot of I think there's Antarctic deserts that qualify as deserts because they don't have enough precipitation. So
Right.
they might be freezing cold, but not a lot of
So you
precipitation.
can, so you make some snow and then you're good.
Hey, look at
Or it's
that.
the origin of the
Wow.
chemtrails.
That's gorgeous. Look at that. You can see the
Can you burn
water
it?
while
This-
you're skiing. That's pretty cool. That's actually very cool. I
This
like
looks
that.
like northern Canada. I mean, if everybody's interested in this, he can go acquire
Well,
none
Canada's
of it.
next, Viva.
No, we're not taking Canada. No.
Greenland
no.
is Greenland
We'll
is
be
all about
greeted
the
as
World
liberators.
Economic Forum's North American Economic Zone. I mean, that's the real reason behind this crap. Why? I mean, Canada's part of it. So is Mexico. We can just have one great World Economic Forum sponsored North American Economic Zone, and just finish
Well,
up the Great
we should
Reset and
save
the whole
Canadians
9 yards.
from their government. I mean,
Canadians had their chance
No,
to save
Canadians
themselves.
voted for the government that they have.
Suicide
They
is
had-
the-
They're
is
not
a
coming down
leading
here
cause
and
of
voting.
death.
No.
They're not going to
we,
vote. They're not going to vote American.
Puerto Rico
Republican,
doesn't
I'll
get a
tell you
vote
that.
either, Phil. I mean, they don't get a vote. It's like Puerto Rico or D.C.
We're going to jump to this next video.
Fair enough.
We got this video clip coming out of Minnesota, my friends. This is what happens when a person tries to grab a flashbang from law enforcement after they've thrown it.
Now she's asking for help.
Medic. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
So
flashbangs and tear gas
Oh my
canisters,
God.
those things are specifically designed to suck. Do not pick up things that are designed to
What is
suck.
a flashbang? What is it?
It's a concussion grenade. You throw it, it goes bang. Really loud. It
Imagine
scares
trying,
people.
trying to block a Roman candle with your finger or hold like an M150 when it's detonating. I don't want to make the mean jokes. People were saying this is a Darwin Award. I said it doesn't qualify as a Darwin Award because she can still procreate. So
All right. I got a question for you. This is my point. The reason why I want to highlight this, because I'm sure everybody gets good. A lot of people are laughing at it. Well, and it's also because not just her hand is all injured and people are like, justice, but that she's flailing around like in agony, suffering, and people are just like laughing at it. My question is this. You've got 1,000 astute, well-reasoned individuals on one side of a field. On the other side of the field, you have 1,000 potential Darwin Award winners, and a fight breaks out. Who wins?
The Darwin Award winners.
Probably.
Unquestionably, the Darwin Award winners are going to win that fight. My question to conservatives is how many people on the right are willing to pick up a live grenade to try and throw at cops?
Not me.
Zero.
definitely won't do
They've
that.
got them in spades. So when it, like, everybody's making fun of this lady, and I'm like, dude, they laugh and they go, if a civil war ever broke out, we have the guns. Blah, blah. Yes, and they've got Darwin Award winners. I'm going
to push back a second time in the night. This displays not steadfast belief in a cause, but stupidity. Like
and zombies are also stupid. And that's what's
yeah, but the problem with zombies is they don't get taken out by a flashbang. Like you're dealing with people who are cosplaying revolutionaries because they just watched one battle after another, and picking up like.
It doesn't matter if they're
and then comes
cosplaying,
running to the cops, but she comes running to the very same cops that she was just.
She didn't run into the cops.
No, she's asking for help from the
street medics. And I see these conservatives going, they're yelling medics like she's in a war zone. They are treating it like a war zone, and you're not, and that's why they're gonna run right over you.
Calling this a LARP is wrong because LARPing is live action role playing. These people are not playing.
This lady tried to throw a grenade at police.
Yeah. So let's distinguish.
Well, let me put it like this. The presumption is if you are picking up a grenade, typically it's because activists are trained to lob them back at cops. Now, I don't know exactly what she was doing. Maybe she's like, oh, look at this. Bang, in her hand or whatever. We don't actually see that part of the video. It is well known, and I've seen it happen a million times. The agitators will see a tear gas canister fly, and they bring gloves, and they'll pick it up, and they'll lob it back at the cops. And the cops are wearing gas masks because of this. So the presumption is she was like, I am going to throw a grenade at police.
At the end of the day, we got to distinguish, right? So, I mean, there's the legit Darwin Award winners, and then there's the college liberal weenies that are out there, and they're going to fold like paper, right? So the liberal weenie activists, I think, will fold like. But then, you do have some of these guys that are hardcore nut jobs. Now, let me say between the two of you, right? I split the difference. I think some of these guys are super dangerous. I mean, look at the Taliban, right? We had they beat the Soviet Union. They held us to a standstill. These people live in caves, and I mean they're just it's not even close, right? Like technologically, militarily, it's not even close. But you know what? How long were we in Afghan and we didn't beat them?
Right.
But so I mean, these psychopaths they fight.
I got to push back on that. The reason that we quote unquote lost Afghanistan is because we were trying to make those people into Jeffersonian democracy loving people, and
fair.
they are not. Every single military engagement the US got in, they absolutely won. So and people say that a lot. People say, oh, the US lost this and the US lost that. The politics the U.S. lost.
Blank slateism lost that.
Do not get it twisted that the military loses engagements, because it just does not.
Did you? Who was it that said if, in response to the Pretti shooting, if a soldier had done that in Afghanistan, they would have been court-martialed? Did you hear that? There was a politician who said that.
Yeah.
And I forget who it was. And when I was listening to that, I said, yeah, that's exactly why they were not able to succeed in certain conflicts, because you had to go through a chain of command protocol before firing on somebody who was clearly posing a threat to you.
Ashley Babbitt, who was unarmed and shot and killed, and they celebrate her death still to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah, they called her a domestic terrorist at the time.
Yeah.
They equate her to Good, Renee Good. Although, again, even with Ashley Babbitt, it was a situation of you're doing stupid things and the consequences can spiral out of control real quick. But as more footage of that came out, even the shot itself wasn't proper because you had cops behind her that could have been easily as hit by that shot as she was.
So Tim, you know what would be kind of cool? Compare the video of that guy that was resisting arrest got shot with Roseanne Boylan getting beat to death while she was laying on the ground unconscious on J6, right? So the video of her being beat to death, I mean, she's defenseless on the ground, and they just keep clubbing her, right? This guy is actively fighting that whole time. A gun, like you said, your description of it, the gun going off, someone yelling gun, gun. I mean, it's that one's kind of unfortunate. I thought the idiot.
He's fighting cops.
Yeah.
If he wasn't fighting cops,
that's
it wouldn't
right.
happen.
That's right. It's unfortunate, but you're an idiot. You did something stupid. You were breaking numerous laws. I mean, it absolutely wins in court, in my opinion. And it's like the other idiot that tried to run over the guy. I mean, listen, that wins in court too, in my opinion. But Roseanne Boylan, I mean, she's literally laying on the ground unconscious, and they keep hitting her.
Tom, they said she died of a drug overdose.
Oh, yeah, I
and the left
forgot
still
about that.
believes
I'm
it.
sorry, I forgot about that.
Tim, do you do polls? I do a poll.
But George Floyd didn't.
I'm picking the non-Darwin Award winners every day of the week.
To win a fight.
To win a fight, absolutely. It's the way the way Homo sapiens, got rid of
who
the
had this tweet?
Neanderthals.
You guys tell me who had this tweet. I remember who it was. It was conservatives treat power the way a wine snob treats alcohol, and Democrats treat power the way an alcoholic treats alcohol.
Curtis Yarvin.
Right.
Yarvin. Who's going to win that fight?
The guy that wants to drink the booze, not the guy that
If the
wants
guy
to
gets too
snob.
drunk,
Right.
it makes it very easy for someone who's of sound mind to
No,
beat them.
now you're
Bro,
coping. You're coping.
Now I'm pushing it. I'm still taking the non-Darwin Award winners
Bro,
every day of the
there's
week.
not a single conservative willing to fight cops. Not even one time.
There aren't even conservatives
To be fair, okay, hold on.
out. There aren't even conservatives
J6.
out.
At least one time.
That's it. But also, we don't see counter protests. We don't see, like, for a minute, we saw some counter protests in Portland. I know Katie Davis Court was covering that for Post Millennial, and she was out there, and there were like pro-ICE frat boys and stuff out here and there. But they're not going out in these 0-degree temperatures to support ICE or to counter protest these people. And you were talking about the difference between the Darwin Award winners and the people who went to college. I would put money on this woman having gone to college.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, most of them went to college.
Most of them went to
The
college.
issue is
That might be true.
there's many factors at play in whether or not someone's willing to run up, grab a grenade, and chuck it at cops. And it is one principal reason: do you have kids? Seeing as conservatives have families, conservative men are substantially less willing to engage in a conflict where they would leave their families high and dry. During the woke tyranny, which, like the late 2010s into COVID, I saw it all the time in our own chat. I remember saying, I can't speak up at work, I'll lose my job, and then how do my kids eat? And I'm like, and there you go. Liberals don't have kids, so they'll scream and quit their jobs. And it happened. Famous video of a guy who he had a mask that said BLM, and Taco Bell said, you can't wear the mask. And says, and I'll walk out. And they said, then do it. And then he makes a video. Everybody loses their mind. Taco Bell panics, rehires the guy, or offers him his job back. Not a single conservative was willing to speak out because they were like, I got to take care of myself and my family. This affords the left a psychotic amount of leeway. Now, to be fair, 20 years from now, assuming they don't take political power, they'll cease to exist. The big problem is if they do win power through kamikaze strikes and stupidity or whatever, just blunt aggression, then they're going to make sure Republicans don't exist.
So Tim, I'm gonna tell you, I did speak out. I lost a lot fighting on the COVID stuff. I spoke out a lot. I got a family, and I lost a lot doing it. But I will tell you that I agree with you. Most won't, but some of us will. The key though is that there's some of us that will stand. Period. And I think those of us on the conservative side, I think there's a smaller number, but there's a number of us on the conservative side, on the freedom side, that will stand. But those of us that will on this side, we do it on principle, so we'll stand to the bitter end. There is no, someone may call me a Darwin guy at some point, because I'm going to be honest with you. There are things I won't bend a knee on, period, ever. And I do think that the conservatives that will fight on principle are probably even more dedicated than these leftist loons.
Well, that's why I say having a family is the double-edged sword to some extent. You're not going to go squander your life for nothing, but you're going to defend your family when you reach that threshold.
Yep.
And I don't know. These are idiots, and they're willing to go out on a cold day and achieve effectively nothing. And that
What do you
makes
mean?
them-
Trump pulled Bovino out.
I still don't
Yeah.
believe that that's capitulation. I think that's re-strategizing and bringing in the right people.
Why does he
I think
have to do that?
I think the
why,
post.
why does Trump have to re-strategize at all?
Because
Amen.
the screw up of the PR.
He's been routed, is what we call it, in conflict.
Well, no, I would say he might have arguably, because of the leadership that was on ground there, fell into the trap, gave the PR
Yes.
that the left wanted. And
Trump's
now it's like, okay,
efforts have been routed by the enemy, and he's retreating and reassessing. And sometimes you have to retreat, and that's fair. But the point is, it shouldn't have happened.
No, we should have immediately had prosecutions for
Well,
some of
that's
these networks
yeah.
when the day he came into
And
office.
we know they exist in other states, networked with each other. And have we seen any high-profile perp walks for Antifa?
Don't get
None.
us. Let's get going. I mean, we can talk about Pam Bondi being the worst, being worse than Bill Barr.
It's not even just Pam Bondi, though.
It's a
Where's a
deal.
single Antifa financier in cuffs on a perp walk?
Well, you
Give me one.
had Kash Patel talking about it again on OAN, like, oh yes, we got to go after the money. No shit, Sherlock. We've been saying go after the money for 10 years now. Going after George Soros, Open Society, and it's that the problem is. It's unclear as whether or not there's been a shift of the people that we had faith in, but everyone was very excited when Kash Patel got in there. People were less excited with Pam Bondi, but, giving her the benefit of the doubt. Something happened, or they were never there to begin with to actually do what they promised to do. Cash coming out and saying, follow the money. Okay, you've been there a year now. How long are you going to take to follow the money? Because midterms are coming around, and then 2028 is coming around, and then the money that's still there is going to be used to defeat you in the next midterms and the next election.
So you know what? Let me be a conspiracy theorist for a minute, right? So if we wait just a little bit longer, just a little bit, by the time they actually try and save face and arrest anybody of importance, it'll be after the midterms before anything's getting done. Well, then we'll have a Democrat Congress, so they don't have to do anything anyways. I think these people are undermining Trump intentionally. I mean, listen, and Cash was on the Reawaken tour with me. I mean, I was on the Reawaken tour. We did all. I can't say I know him well, but we had a lot of hope when Cash came in, a lot of hope. And I can't to say I'm disappointed is I mean, that's like the most epic of all the people because he was there. I mean, he was
gangster.
a warrior speaking on this stuff, but he talked a good game. But so I was real excited about Bongino too. Now Bongino's out there attacking people who are asking why the MAGA administration isn't doing. How are you making America great again when you're letting this crap happen? How are you making America great again when you're letting billionaires who rape children go free? How are you making America great again when you back someone like Lindsey Graham? How are we making America great again when we pass? Did you all know we got digital ID now? It's pinned to the top of my Twitter profile. You can see I lay it all out. The law now is in place in the United States where we have digital ID. These are not things that are MAGA. We're not doing MAGA. I'm praying because, listen, I fought for Trump. I want him to come back to MAGA. I want him to get back to where he was. But it isn't going to happen when he's got a bunch of crooks around him that are undermining him every step. I think it's intentional.
If you want to go conspiratorial, this is Robert Barnes's idea. We discussed it last night on our show. But if you wanted to make it, if you deep down didn't actually want to get rid of illegal immigrants because you enjoy exploiting them for cheap labor, like Kinzinger,
votes.
Well, let's go with cheap labor because the votes doesn't favor the Republicans, but cheap labor might favor some rhinos. If you wanted to actually not get rid of the problem, but make it look like you were trying to fight the problem while producing the exact opposite results, what would you be doing differently than what just happened in Minnesota?
Nothing.
And so, this is the idea that it's there is a lot of rhinos who want cheap labor for their own corporate buddies, and you don't really want to get rid of all the illegals. You had Trump discuss keeping them for hospitality and for agriculture, then taking a lot of blowback from the base. Well, here's a way to make sure that you don't actually successfully get rid of deporting anybody because of the optics are so bad, and maybe that is the deep down conspiracy. Hypothetically.
I can one-up your conspiracy theory. I can one-up you. So, I don't know. Does everybody here accept that there's election fraud?
I was told that the elections are unimpeachable and you cannot speak of that.
So yeah, I know. We can't. We clearly the elections are perfect. But I mean, do you think that it doesn't happen in the primaries? If it happens in the general, you think it doesn't happen in the primaries? Now let me ask you a question. If you believe in election fraud and you think it happens in the primaries too, why do you think that Republicans, when they have the majority of the House, the majority of the Senate, and the presidency, still can't pass election reform laws? I'll just leave it there.
Well, I mean, it does seem like more senators are getting onto the SAVE Act, so there's a little bit of a ray of hope, I guess.
Well,
But then it's going to have to be enforced.
The SAVE Act now has a
And
provision.
we already have a situation where most of these states where when voter rolls are requested, they are denying the Trump administration access to those voter records.
Bingo. Not only that, but it also has a component to push more digital ID. So the Real ID system is set up, guess what, public-private partnership, where a nonprofit coordinates data sharing between the states. So there's no federal database. It's done through a public-private partnership with a nonprofit, which means, we have all sorts of litigation issues. But guess what? It's still happening. The new SAVE Act, which I support, we need the SAVE Act, but the enforcement's weak, and it promotes Real ID, which is, I'm sorry, Real ID is an absolute disaster.
Why do you think so?
Because it provides biometric data and digital track and trace.
But do they not already have that? Do they not already have that on everybody?
Well, part of the situation.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, part of the situation right now, honestly, is like you get like boomers and Gen Z that are like, no, we don't want digital tracking, blah blah blah. Then when you get to younger millennials and I'm sorry, not Gen Z, but Gen X. When you get to younger millennials, Gen X and Gen Alpha, they don't care. They really don't care about privacy the way that older people do. I'm 50, right? And so like I actually do care about that. But at the same time, I'm walking around with this all the time. I had Amazon Alexa for a while. I like the idea that you're going to have that we're going to continue to have the privacy that we enjoyed 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's gone because as the boomers and Gen X gets older, younger millennials and Gen Z just don't care. So I understand what you're saying, but they don't even think about it. Young people don't even think about it.
You hear about that guy who drove his car into Maine? I think it was Maine, and then just got out and walked into the woods. And he was notorious for living with never lit a fire, living
27 years.
Yeah, for 27 years. And he would go to cabins when no one was there, gently break in, take some food, and then leave. And half the cabin owners were like, arrest him. The other half would actually put extra food out with a note saying, stay as long as you'd like, but he never would. He got caught after 27 years because of technology. Because at a certain point, people started getting its ubiquity of cameras and trail cams and just general satellite tracking stuff. Eventually, someone was like, we can see where he would walk on stones and tree roots so that nobody could track him. And they found him.
Yeah,
I feel bad for that guy. I mean, you should be able to wander off into the woods of Maine and live on your own for 27 years and not bother anybody. And
he was stealing
exist.
from cabins.
Yeah, but
if he wasn't stealing,
he was a cabin keeper. That's how they remunerated him with
that.
food.
I get that, and that's that's not great and whatever. But you should be able to just go wander off and not bother anybody and not be bothered. In America, that should be possible.
I understand what you're saying, but again, this is an idea that with young people, it's totally foreign to them. The idea of actual privacy.
Yes, because we have failed, but that doesn't mean
but
that
it's not because we failed. It's because modern society doesn't allow for that. People want the things that their iPhone, that the internet, that are offered by these new technologies, and these new technologies, whether you like it or not, come with constant logging and constant interaction with cell phone towers. That's the price.
Yeah,
now, whether
meanwhile, we can walk around our homes with our iPhones in our hands, being like, "Where's my phone? I can't find it."
True.
It's right there.
But not only that, not only that. Nowadays, the technology exists to take a Wi-Fi router, connect to the Wi-Fi router, like in your home, and they can model what the inside of your house is, just like in the Batman movie. So, the idea that you have any kind of privacy, if you want privacy, you must totally disconnect everything except for maybe the electrical service to your house. And nobody's prepared to do that.
No, but that doesn't even do anything. You just need to be in the
but-
backdrop of a picture that someone posts to Facebook and they're going to have everything about you. And by the way, all that technology, they still can't find the guy who brought cocaine into the White House, and it took him 5 years to find Brian Cole Jr., the alleged pipe bomb patsy.
Of course they know.
We all know who brought
Well, I know.
cocaine
That's-
into
that
the
was
White
just a-
House. Come on.
a needle there. But no,
We all know.
the thing about the privacy is gone. Your biometrics are already there. When you travel, they're there. They scan you when you come back into America.
I don't have a real ID, and I've been holding off forever. And I've had to fly, and they do the whole like here you don't have a real ID. My in New Hampshire they pushed it back as far as possible to have the real ID.
So-
I have to renew my ID in April, and I'm going to get a real ID because I have to because it's the only option.
So do we just give it up? Because I mean, here's what's happened, right? COVID happened because when I talk about COVID, the lockdowns, all that stuff happened because we sat on our butts. We don't want to, you know what? Nobody cares. Just let it happen. Let this happen. It's getting worse, right? So there's been no accountability for COVID. $15 to $30 trillion worth of tea changed hands during COVID globally, dependent on your estimates. 15 to 30
of what?
15 to 30 trillion dollars worth of tea changed hands globally, depending on the estimates during COVID. Not one. Listen, I know because I was involved with breaking it all, that it was created in the lab in Wuhan with help from our CIA, our USAID, EcoHealth Alliance. It was a public-private partnership. We know the whole thing about it. We know that it was there. We know that the mRNA vaccines were created years before. I know because I've literally testified under oath in Congress over it. We know that they knew early on that these things weren't safe and effective. We stood and we let things go, right? So we let it all go, and then they stole an election over it. They did all sorts of things with it. This stuff happens again unless we take a stand. We elected Donald Trump to put a stop, to get accountability, to make sure that we were going to have free and fair elections, that we would never have COVID things again, that we would stop this illegal immigration, that we'd get our economy. And the one thing he is doing, I think we'll have a good economy this year. I like what he's doing there. And I do think he's done some decent things foreign policy-wise.
I don't think the economy is going to be good.
You don't think he'll come back?
Silver is
I can't
at 106.
believe what silver's at. My grandmother, she didn't leave it to me because I just took it. It was a little like Chivas Regal bag of silver dollars, Canadian silver dollars. Those are going to be worth something now. They were worth like $6 for the longest time.
This is so when we had a gold silver sponsor a while ago, and they come and go because they do like multi-month, like 3 months, and then they'll come back 6 months later or something. Yeah. And so they wanted me to have. They were like, "Do you have silver? Right?" I was like, "Yeah, I got a bunch of silver." And they were like, "Show it off when you're doing the reads." I was like, "Okay." So this little stack of silver, it is 20 silver coins. 20 silver coins. When I bought it,
that's 20 was it $2,200?
Just about, yeah. Well, no, that would be 20 coins would be
100
They're
106
ounces?
each. What?
They're ounce coins?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 20 ounces
Times 106. Is that the current price?
Well, yeah.
Well, that's good. You don't want to be
I'm just saying that when I bought it, it was $23 or whatever per coin. It was like $500 for a stack. It's
wild.
It's 110. Oh my God!
You see, the problem is I'm looking for a gold and silver sponsor that's going to make. I want 1 ounce silver and gold suppositories, so that way you can smuggle them out of the country easily.
This is insane.
We'll call them Viva Suppository Gold and
You
Silver.
know who will buy
Someone
a bunch of
contact
that
me.
is
It's a good idea.
all the Somalis will buy a bunch of that, and then they can dispense with the suitcases full of cash, and they can just go with the Viva Suppository.
Yeah, you just have to clench as you cross the border.
Viva, disavow.
Look how crazy this is.
I just burned bridges with every potential
Silver's at
gold
110.
sponsor.
You're right. It's 2200.
Wild.
I don't know. I
That's
might have one.
wild. How much silver's at?
110.63.
There's been a lot of
I got
talk.
gold too.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk amongst like gold and silver bugs. Not recently, but 10 years ago, people were complaining because silver was not keeping up with the price of gold. As gold increased, silver was that people were saying that the market was being depressed. I think that some of this is that has whatever was keeping the price of silver
China's
down.
not exporting anymore, so the demand is constrained.
Okay.
But I think for moves like this, I think what likely happened is institutional power said, we need silver.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, it's weird for metals to be acting like crypto.
Yeah.
Honestly, because it's like now the market cap for gold and silver is above what the market cap for all crypto is, which is kind of crazy.
Conspiracy. They're buying up silver. They're going to plate it with gold, and they're going to stick it back in the safes at Fort Knox to make it look like they have what they're supposed to have.
Just do copper.
Look, okay, my plan is better.
Your plan's more expensive. That's crazy, man.
That graph was only the 5-day. What's the 5-year?
Yeah, it looks like some crypto charts.
Bro, look at this.
You know,
look at this. I kid you not. When I bought this stuff, it was like $23.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy a bunch of these. Bro, I bought it.
I thought, and I didn't look at this. I don't know for sure, but I thought I heard that
It was less. I bought it I bought it before 2012. I think I bought it at like $18.
Yeah.
I heard one of the banks had oversold the paper, and that's part of what's contributing to it.
Man.
There was a time where I
this.
had a P.O. box, and I told people that if they sent me 2 silver dimes or 1 silver quarter, I would give them an autograph, a signed autograph picture. It was like a couple bucks at the time, it was like $4 or $5 for everything. So it was like, $4 or $5, I'll send you a picture. And now I've got a lot of silver dimes and quarters because of it.
Copper apparently is going to skyrocket too, people are saying. Copper's at $6. It's not really moving in any kind of dramatic fashion.
Nothing cool about owning
I
copper.
bought a bunch of copper though, because it's just dirt cheap. It's like it's more expensive to ship. Just big, heavy copper ingots. It's fun.
Because of Ian, right?
Yeah. Ian was like, "You gotta buy copper," and I did. It went up, so I made some money. It's up 40% the past year. I think it was like.
How much is copper necessary for the production of ammunition? At all? Or no?
Not
Copper?
Copper
Brass.
jackets, but that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more so that we use it for wiring. And so with AI expansion.
Yeah,
They're gonna need a lot
actually,
of copper.
in all over the Pacific Northwest, I remember for a while Ari Hoffman was covering the incessant copper wire theft. People were breaking into
Yeah.
homes and breaking into like construction sites and stripping all of the copper wiring out.
South Africa dudes are dying over that. They try and get live copper wires.
Oh, that's not smart.
No, it's
That's
not smart at all.
That's not a clever move.
Darwin
It's almost
Awards.
as dumb as picking up a flash grenade
Right?
and trying to throw
Yeah.
it back barehanded.
That's kind of special, that flash grenade thing.
Well, I've seen, like, I'm a glutton for punishment and, like, watching these videos of people doing stupid things, like getting their hands blown off by fireworks. To let kids know these things are not just, toys. They'll blow your freaking fingers into, like, it's crazy. But, yeah, I've seen a lot of that stuff.
We're going to go to your Rumble rants and super chats, so smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know, and subscribe right now to the channel if you haven't already. We're going to be at that uncensored show at 10 p.m. at rumble.com/Timcast IRL, so don't miss it. Sign up for Rumble Premium. But before we do that, we got a great sponsor. It is Venice.ai. Sam Altman said ChatGPT will get to know you over your life. They got the former director of the NSA sitting on their board right now. Edward Snowden called this a willful, calculated betrayal of the rights of every person on Earth. Your Amazon device listens to you and recommends products based on your conversations. Meta retargets us based on our browsing and engagement history. I'm just going to add this as an aside. Facebook knows when you poop. It's not a joke. This is a well-reported thing going back like 8 or 10 years that they know when you're going to the bathroom and when you're going to buy lunch. It's crazy. It took us far too long to understand what social media companies were doing with our data over the last decade, and we shouldn't make the same mistake again. Venice utilizes leading open source AI models to deliver text, code, and image generation to your web browser. No downloads, no installations or anything. Private and permissionless. They don't spy on you or censor the AI. Messages are encrypted, and your conversation history is stored only in your browser. AI can be extremely valuable, but we shouldn't need to give up our privacy to use it. If you get the Venice Pro plan, you unlock the full platform and features including PDF uploads for summaries or insights, the ability to turn off safe mode for unhindered image generation, the ability to change how Venice interacts with you by modifying the system prompt, limitless text, and high image results. Go to venice.ai/Tim or use code Tim, and you'll get 20% off the Pro plan. So shout out to Venice for sponsoring the show. Check it out, guys. Venice.ai/Tim. Let's grab some rants and chats. We got Dominion After Dark saying, Viva Frei told me he likes to get... I don't know if I'm going to read that.
Spell it out. Spell it out.
Something about Anton?
Oh, Anton's meat. Is that from Dominant One? What's...
Dominion After Dark?
Oh, okay. That might be. Is that on ComicTube or is that on Rumble?
It's on Rumble.
Oh, all right. Well, that's Anton's meat is biltong. Biltong.
Oh, I love biltong.
It's amazing.
This guy over here, he knows what it's all about.
Yeah, it's biltongusa.com. He's a guy. He always gives Rumble rants when I go live, and the jokes are everybody loves Anton's meat in their
And then
mouth.
what's that other one?
The Dry Wars is the other. So you got the biltong, and then you got the sauce. The
See,
carnot
this
sauce.
guy's from South Africa. He knows what it's all about.
Okay, so you know Anton's. Well, hold on. Let me make
Bro,
sure.
he used to bring in big stacks of biltong, and everybody would just eat it nonstop.
That stuff was good. That was
Yeah.
good.
biltongusa.com. It's made in Texas. It's delicious, and if you can see that, I don't know who can see that. It's it's like eating a tender, beautiful beef jerky that doesn't hurt your jaw to eat.
Yeah, tender and delicious. NNY says, Dear Tim, please inform Viva I still resent him. Not for being Jewish. I am angry he is older than me and has a full head of hair. I can't get over it. Have you considered?
told you I was Jewish, sir?
Have you considered just wearing a beanie? Maybe. Give it a try.
or a wig, but those there's nothing wrong with being
a ball
bald.
cap is
No,
fine.
I was going to say there's a number of people who wear it well. Bruce Willis was one, and Phil, you're another.
I do
for
have
sure.
I do have a positively shaped head.
I would love to touch
My
your head right now.
my squash is all right. Again, disavowed.
All right, we got Laura 850 says, my son literally blew his hand off throwing a firework. In real life, he nearly bled out. He has a cool prosthetic, kind of metallic. Oh, wow. Got to be careful.
You ever seen videos of people punching windows because they think it's funny and then they sever their brachial artery?
Yep.
Like how fast you can die from that. You see that video once, you'll never do it again.
I know a
3
dude
minutes.
who kicked a window and his foot went through.
Stop it.
And you know what happened when he pulled it out?
Oh, God. It pulled everything off. It pulled the skin off or what?
No, it sliced straight down his leg and split his whole leg open.
I punched through a car window when I was a kid in college. I came out with unscathed, but that's all I got.
Not to make a joke about age, did they have tempered glass when we were younger?
They had, this was I don't know what year it would have been. It was like early college, so yeah.
1961, maybe?
It was 48. It was a Model T.
Yeah. It's 1906. What do we have here? Speed Bump says, question for Phil. I understand your concerns with acquiring Canada, but if China were to establish themselves militarily, would you then favor annexation?
They've already established themselves in Canada economically.
Just so long as they're like Puerto Rico, they can't vote.
Except for Alberta.
No,
annexation?
No,
Not even Alberta.
No.
Subjugation.
Yeah. They can join the United States if they can't vote.
I'm talking about people in suits working in factories making poutine mass produced for the American masses.
I'm not gonna. I was gonna make a light-hearted reference that would be taken out of context and used as a sound clip forever. But no, you just shut off the borders. I mean, America controls the sea, and Chinese influence in Canada is relegated to technological. And then what happens to a nation that's effectively cut off from the rest of the world could happen. But the problem is.
What did you think of Carney at the World Economic Forum last week?
He got. I mean, he got bitch slapped the way he deserved. It's nice that he can come up with a soundbite and try to own Trump. The dude has to understand that he is negotiating from and speaking from a position of weakness, and there's nothing wrong with that.
He knows that. That's why he called himself from a middle country.
No, well, but he's from a middle country, knowing that he's out there sleeping with she or sucking at she's teat, and basically, not just burning bridges with Trump, but turning Canada into the national security threat for America that I said it has been for a long time now. But you go out and you play tough and you talk big, and then Trump comes in and reminds you, you don't like hearing it. Your security exists because of us, whether you like it or not. So don't mouth off and show a little respect, and we can have good relations. But it's not going to be on equal footing because we're not on equal footing.
I think we should shut down the border just for trade for maybe like 2 years. Because then Canada can reassess its priorities, and I think that would cure it.
You shut down the border, and you don't let Canada bleed its people on terror watch lists that they've let into the country with no vetting leak into the U.S. Keep them in Canada. See how much they like that.
I'm just saying it's the trade with us is largely look. I'll make this point. We import aluminum from Canada only because we cut a deal to fake a trade requirement. Canada doesn't have any bauxite mines. They import from China and Brazil and then bring it to their refineries. We can build aluminum refineries. We have bauxite mines in Louisiana, and then we can import the rest. Why are we doing these fake deals with Canada? It's so that Canada can have access to the American financial markets and benefit. We cut the border off. I'm actually half joking, but you shut the border down for trade for a couple of years, people in Canada will get real thin real quick. They'll get angry and reprioritize what they're doing.
It's an unfortunate reality is that you're dealing with a country that is half of the GDP of California, that spans what it spans. And there's nothing wrong with it. But in negotiations, you have different tactics. You have different positions of leverage. And you can't overplay your hand and then threaten to sleep with the enemy of America in order to make up for the bridge that you've just burned with America.
Yeah, I mean, that's good too. Or we could wipe out veganism in Canada once and for all.
There we go.
They're going to be eating elk. They're going to caribou. There's no food left. You've got limited farmland and no access to the American food market or California, and they're going to be eating meat.
Tim, we should do that just on principle.
They'll go back to baby seals. I mean, I remember
Oh, man.
there was a fish market in Montreal that I used to go and
Start whaling.
No, they sold seal at this place, and I tasted it. I was going to make a cooking video with it, and I was like, no, the amount. This was back in the day before I was even remotely political. The amount of flack that I would have gotten from eating seal, despite the fact that it was actually ethically caught by the natives up north. Well,
Who was
it was caught up north by the natives who have their clubbing season when they do to preserve the balance of nature. You try to argue that to vegetarians, let alone vegans. But no, the thing is, Canada's got wonderful resources.
Maple syrup.
We own 70% of that market.
You know what's crazy is the thing where Canadians are vegan is kind of like the thing Howard Lutnick was saying to the EU about going solar and wind. How do you go solar and wind when you can't even make a battery? You know, like, what are you growing?
Well, they could do air batteries. Is a really cool thing that I watched. Air batteries use compressed air in tanks to store energy. So they get solar or wind, and then with the excess energy, it powers a compressor, which just pumps air into a pressurized vat, which they seal, and then when they want the power back, they can release it, and which then spins a turbine. Yeah.
Well, the
Crazy.
EU doesn't make any batteries. They don't make any lithium batteries.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You don't need chemical batteries or anything like that.
But
you
they're
can
not
use
doing any of that either.
mechanical batteries.
They need you over there. You could
saying.
First you run for president of the U.S., then you do this whole Pax Americanus thing, and you take over Europe.
The first thing I would do is ban
And they
cilantro.
can't vote either. I think
Cilantro,
that's fair.
gone.
Cilantro is
cilantro.
the greatest. I don't even. What is it? It's not a spice. It's a. It's.
Listen,
It's
I need it for my salsa.
Anyone caught transporting or consuming any amount of cilantro, capital offense.
Now this is your new suppository plan.
Same thing.
Now it's cilantro
I put cilantro
suppositories.
on everything. I eat it raw.
I would lock you
Terrible.
up.
It's flipping delicious.
Jail.
We'll throw you.
Hold on a second. Now,
I'll
which
defenestrate you.
Which one's the raw version? Coriander's raw or cilantro?
I think coriander is like the stem part. Same thing.
Whatever. It's all delicious.
Yeah, out the window. You are defenestrated. That is the penalty for.
I might protest for my salsa. I make a mean salsa, but I got to have a
You
little
don't have
bit.
to use cilantro.
Oh, you got to have a little bit,
No.
just a
Fennel,
tiny bit.
anise, caraway seeds, gone.
All of those
Oh,
should
no,
disappear.
I happen to
yes.
agree with you on
Those
fennel.
I'm fine.
Fennel I could do
Yeah.
without. It tastes too much like black licorice.
Also,
Hearing
yes,
you say
terrible.
anus is gone.
Anise
Anise.
is licorice.
Yeah,
You know
no,
what's the worst is when people try
that's
and give you
gross.
a Christmas cookie and then it's anise in the Christmas cookie and you're like, why do you hate me? What is your problem? What's wrong
What
with the
have I
butter
done
cookie
to
with a
you?
little icing? What is your
Christmas.
problem? Right. It's Christmas and you're giving me this.
Mint
Terrible.
too.
Terrible.
Yeah,
Mint
Mint
can
is
go.
not good.
Mint is
Mint
gone.
can go.
You know, I went to an ice cream
I do
place.
like a mint gum.
No,
And
yeah,
I
but
like
No,
mint
you're not
chocolate
supposed to
chip.
consume mint. Like you brush your teeth with mint, but eating
Yeah, it
things that
feels
are
fresh.
minty is gross.
See, I was at an ice cream place.
Mint
And,
chocolate
with
chip?
my wife, and we're all excited, and I'm like, what flavors do they have? Strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, and I'm like, a little boring. And then they got Rocky Road. And I get all excited.
Oh, no.
It wasn't mint.
They didn't.
It was
they
Rocky
didn't.
Road
Oh.
mint.
That's a crime. That's a
I
crime.
picked up a garbage can. I smashed the window. I punched the guy. I flipped everything. No, I ordered strawberry and I enjoyed it.
Kicked the baby.
I like
It
a
was pretty good.
strawberry. I like a
It had
strawberry.
real
ice
strawberries in
cream.
it.
Yeah, it's
I like it when they do that.
Maraschino cherry was always
Strawberries.
my favorite growing up, but strawberry was the close
maraschino
second.
cherry.
You know
ice
what's
cream?
really good ice cream
It-
is
it-
pistachio.
It is, yeah.
I was surprised. It's green. I was like, that can't be good.
green.
It was. It's delicious.
Yeah. That's right.
How old are you, Tom?
I just turned 49 this weekend.
Yeah.
You know what that reminds
Going
me
on
of is
100
I was gonna say like the only thing I associate
tadpole
pistachio ice
ripple.
cream with is my father.
remember Tadpole Ripple?
Hey,
Tadpole
have you
Ripple
had,
I just
from
look
Kermit?
100
Cookie
days.
Monster?
No, you look good. I'm just saying.
No, I haven't had that. But I last summer I made some. I got like this ice cream maker. Anyway, I made a peach ice cream.
Oh, that's
That
good.
was spectacular.
Cookie Monster has Oreos and cookie dough.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, that's gotta be
cookie
good.
dough's fantastic.
I can see that.
That's
as
got to
good.
be good.
Oh,
Is
it's
it
amazing.
blue? Did
I've
they
never
make
heard
it
of
blue?
that.
That's
Yes,
nice. That's
and
a nice touch.
I can just like every time I order it, RFK lurks out of the shadows. He's like, "Let me tell you about blue dye." And I'm like, I know.
Have you seen what it does to bowel movements? It turns them green, like straight up green for the longest time afterwards.
Viva.
What does?
Disavow.
If you grow up with the son of a hypochondriac, there's a lot of things you learn and you don't forget to traumatize you for
Yeah,
life.
but you don't need to talk about them on a podcast.
I probably
Those
should
are
not
the,
have talked about the blue poo that comes from eating blue dye, but now you know, children. Don't eat that green dye stuff or blue dye
All right,
stuff.
let's see what we got going on here in these chats. Wolf says if Trump doesn't crack down in Minnesota, he's going to be Buchanan 2.0. That's what I'm saying. Andre says, Canada is so done under Comrade Carney. What are you guys waiting for? Hi, Viva. See you soon in Florida.
Who said that one?
Andre T23.
Okay, got to make sure that that's not a threat. See you in Florida, bitch. I think I know who that is. Yeah, well, the problem is
you're a refugee. I mean, you fled.
Oh yeah, I ran for the country before I ran from the country, and like you say, people, Viva, you're a coward. Stay there. I'm going to stay and finance my own oppression to the tune of 50+% of my income. Hell no. I will tactically not even retreat, re-strategize to the free state of Florida, where I can fight harder for Canada than some Canadians can under the censorship laws that they got in that country.
Those
now.
censorship
Have
laws
you
are
renounced your
crazy.
citizenship?
Not yet, but not yet.
Oh.
No, I'm in the process of things with America.
Switching over, becoming American.
Conversions. People say I realized this the other day where people say, are you proud to be Canadian? I'm like, well, I was born Canadian. You can't be proud to have been born into circumstances. But if I make the active decision to become American, then you would say, yes, I'm proud to be an American, because as an adult I made a decision to upend our entire life, move my family, and adopt a spirit that is far different than what I have grown to know as
Does
a
your
Canadian
family
spirit.
like it? Is your family happy?
My family that came with me, yes. I say
Good.
I've got some family up in Canada who, but no, my family loves it now. It took some time. The first year we went with three kids who were young. It took some getting used to and making new friends, and they love it.
I moved my son from New York to West Virginia, and that's also a transition. Slightly different kind of transition.
That's a big transition.
But a big transition.
Yeah,
Now he's a Brooklyn kid in like the Appalachians.
That's a huge transition.
No, it is like I've obviously never done it before, but like up against selling everything and leaving the only country you've ever known, and then coming where you don't know anything. You don't know what you need to get into school. You don't know where the grocery stores are.
I find it crazy. Like I can't imagine leaving America. I can't imagine it.
It was weird. Never in a million years that I ever. I studied law in French in Quebec City because my aspirations were to stay in Quebec, the province, practice in French.
Quebec is gorgeous.
It's beautiful. The country
In
is
the
beautiful.
summer.
The people are by and large beautiful.
Yeah.
It's the government that ruins everything, and the government ruins much of the people as well. Brainwashes them into calling the cops because you're not social distancing at a park and you're playing on the swings that have been.
Or because there's 5 people in your house and you're not allowed to have 5 people over.
We literally had to sneak out of we were breaking the COVID curfew rules.
Yeah.
And the kids were like looking for cops as we left our neighbor's house and came back to ours. It was you realize also, a home, the difference between a home and a prison is really just a question of perspective and the limitations that are placed on you. The government turned our homes into a prison, and I look at it whenever I drive by, when I go back, and I have a deep resentment for what the government actually did to our lives in Canada.
I did a lot of
in
work
Brooklyn,
up there.
they said that I couldn't take my son to any restaurants unless I got him this weird experimental vaccine. And so I was like, oh, I guess now and so we just kept driving to Jersey, and we were like going to Dave & Buster's. And I was like, I always loved Jersey. Now I love Jersey even more.
All right. Amasong says, last Monday was the 20th anniversary of Tim Pool Day at Chicago Warehouse. That is a video of me skateboarding at 19 years old in Chicago. And it's funny because it's got 500,000 views. But when it was first put up by my buddy Brett, it had just 1,000 or 2,000 or something. And then people decided 18 years later, YouTube started recommending it to people. And then people were like, what's this? And then they'd watch it. And it's me. I'm 19 and I'm skating in a warehouse. And I'm doing some frontside bunt slides and backside tail slides and all of that stuff. All right. Andre says, I've already got my American flag.
Good stuff.
Well, all right. All right. Andrew Starr says, Tim, you people caused this because you throw conservatives under the bus every time they do something that isn't perfectly ideal.
Yeah.
Nope. I think that there is a appropriate strategy and things to do, but we win elections and then the leaders do nothing. So,
I mean,
Is the idea that you can't criticize because you might lose elections after having been elected on certain promises that you failed to deliver on? People don't understand that there is such a thing as constructive criticism in comparison to destructive criticism. And when you criticize Biden, it sure as hell is not to make him change tactics to become a better candidate. It's to destroy him politically. When you criticize Trump, especially if you went out and stumped for him, it's
Amen.
not to destroy him. It's to put it right back on track, to deliver on what he promised so that they don't lose the midterms. And it's up to them to either absorb that constructive criticism or stubbornly say, we're doing everything right and you're the idiot for complaining.
so what do you do, right? So you're asked to investigate things, you look into things, you find things, and you find out that there's bad things around it. Should I shut up? I mean, who's the better friend to Trump? The guy that's not willing to talk about someone being crooked around him, or the guy that says, "Hey, you got some snakes in the grass. You got to watch out for yourself. Hey, watch your back." You can see from a mile away where these midterms are going.
Oh, yeah.
And it ain't good. So you tell me, who's got Trump's back better? The guy who's saying, "Hey, let's change direction," or the guy who's kissing his rear and doesn't have the balls to speak out?
Which country are you looking at for after Democrats win the midterms?
Listen, I'm dying on this one. I'll die on this hill, brother. I ain't going anywhere. I figure I'll be the first guy in FEMA camp, and I'll keep a bed warm for you.
No, Tim, the serious answer to that is there's nowhere else to go after this.
It's just going down.
What do you mean?
When I was doing the Ottawa trucker
It's El
protest,
Salvador.
but the thing is, I mean, that's just like old people going to Florida to run out the clock. I mean, that's the reality is when I was interviewing a lot of people, they came to Canada and they're protesting the tyranny there, and I was like, so. What happens? Are you going to go back home? He's like, I have no home to go back to. If Canada goes the way the country that I fled from, I've got nowhere to go. America is
Greenland.
the last. Oh,
Maybe.
They got skiing.
We're good.
Sunshine or give me death. But no, so the other thing, there's nowhere else to go. If America falls, then it's global tyranny. So good luck.
We talked about it during
I feel
COVID.
that way too. I mean, that's what Howard. I can't recommend Howard.
what about
Lutnick's,
Singapore?
Talk at the World Economic Forum. He was like, imagine a world without America. It gets pretty dark pretty quick.
No,
The
Singapore,
problem-
where they flog you on your feet. I mean, I appreciate there's very little
Aren't you
crime in
not
Singapore.
allowed to chew gum?
Yeah, you can't. Well, you can chew it. You can't spit it on the
But
ground.
the thing about it is right, so during COVID, a lot of us lawyers from around the world work together, right? So I was working with lawyers from Australia, South Africa, Europe, I mean, you name it, all over. We were all talking to each other because when it first happened, all around the world, it was the same thing, right? So everywhere around the world, think about this. Think about just the enormity of coordinating a global lockdown the way that it was. And it was the same in every country, right? So tell me it wasn't a conspiracy. So this has happened, but we talked. The lawyers talked, right? And we talked about this. And at the end of the day, we would talk about it. Well, hey, should we really work real hard on Italy, or should we work really hard on this or hard on that? And I had a number of people tell me, listen, if America falls, we're screwed. At the end of the day, America's been the beacon of freedom for a reason. I mean, we are the beacon of freedom. If we go downhill, freedom's going to go south everywhere. I don't think there is an option. And that's why, like I said, I don't care who likes me, who doesn't like me. I'm going to keep talking the truth. And when I find someone that's enemy of freedom, we're going to keep talking about it.
All right, Andre says, when you guys finally decide to liberate Canada, please have the Yankee Doodle playing on all speakers. Play it now, please. We almost did. What was it, War of 1812?
Yeah.
We tried to free you.
Sorry.
You cannot free the prisoner who doesn't appreciate they are in shackles.
This is true.
Let's see. Quanchin. Viva, has Barnes changed his mind since Sunday? If not, can you explain it to Tim and see what his opinion is about it?
Changed his mind on the shooting. I presume it's about the shooting. Barnes thinks it's an unjustified shooting. I think it's more facts.
He's wrong.
I appreciate his position, and he doesn't compromise what his views of the Constitution are, depending on the parties. And his position, he fleshed it out. I happen to disagree with him. I don't always agree with him. I don't agree that the charges against Don Stinky Fingers Lamont ought to have been not brought. But he did make a good point that
Stinky Fingers.
That's what he did.
Yeah,
people can Google it. But he's right a lot, and so even if you disagree with him on this, his interpretation of the Constitution is worth listening to.
Sure. I think the circumstance is a guy was resisting arrest while armed. One agent saw a gun and grabbed it and screamed, "Gun, gun." The gun accidentally discharged. Then the other guys see him spin around and he's got a black thing in his hand and he panics and he shoots. I don't. In a circumstance like that where a gunshot rings out and you hear "gun, gun," and the guy who's resisting arrest is turning around while holding a black object, I don't see how that's not not clean.
Well, anybody who wants to hear his interpretation, you can check out last night's episode on across all platforms, but on Rumble. No, but Barnes, and he's a smart man, so you can't just disregard it reflexively because you don't like it. But my conclusion is different on this one.
All right. Mega Bobson says, weak AF. WTF Trump. You're making us all look like clowns for voting for you. We wanted mass deportations. Now you're running away because leftists are crying. WTF, embarrassing, bro.
I had to look it up before because Phil told me that between voluntary and involuntary deportations, they're at allegedly close to 2 million. And so it's not a question of overreacting because of what you disagree with as a spontaneous reaction, but he's been good. And this might be longer term better. If he shows that he can actually work with Democrats, and then maybe they deserve to be arrested. But this is not the sentiment of the majority of people who look at what's going on and are getting pushed away from the deportation.
I have to address this comment where, what is it name? Salina? I don't know. Tim can't justify a wool cap in Florida. Correct. I'm not wearing a wool cap. It's polyester. More importantly, it's 50 degrees out right now. People, are you not from Florida? I guess people not from Florida. They don't understand. Florida does get cold sometimes. It's supposed to be like 20 something degrees.
It might snow this weekend here.
Yeah. I mean, well, the Arctic blast thing. Yeah. But even in the past couple of weeks, it dropped down to like 32 or 33 or something. Mm-hmm. It was cold.
You can always justify because it either keeps you warm or it protects you from sunburn. And if you don't have hair on the top of your head, you can get a bad sunburn.
Viva. That's right. And Phil did.
I did.
He did.
My head was itchy for a couple days.
Really?
Yeah.
Ouchie.
Yeah.
I used to have my head shaved. Years I had my head shaved when I was a kid because I was into sports. And every summer I get a head burn. It's brutal.
Brutal. All right, my friends, we're going to go to that uncensored portion of the show, so smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you've ever met. Subscribe to this channel. We'll be over at rumble.com/Timcast IRL in a little bit. But before we go, Tom, do you want to shout anything out?
Hey, just listen, keep supporting our work, TimeRuns.com and TimeRuns.substack.com. We need your help. I mean, listen, obviously, I'm not getting paid by the Democrats or the Republicans. Nobody likes me. So if you like truth, keep supporting us.
And that is TOMRENZ. Tom Renz.
There you go.
You know, Viva Frei, I got the daily show at 3 o'clock on Rumble. Sunday night show, Viva and Barnes, Law for the People. And we got the best locals community out there, Viva and Barnes. Holy crap. VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com. So that's where you know to find me. And if you Google my name, drone bass fishing. It was a video where I caught a smallmouth bass. I posted it to YouTube back in the day. It should have been 10 million views. It hasn't even gotten to 1 million yet.
Oh, okay.
It's very upsetting.
I'm Libby Emmons, and you can find me on Twitter at Libby Emmons. And I'm really grateful to Tim for letting me announce my podcast on the show, which is really fun. It's the Pod Millennial, and you can find it at the Pod Millennial. We are going to be. This is a soft launch tonight. It officially launches tomorrow, so it's sort of a sneak peek, and then it will be every Tuesday. And Tim, I hope that you will come be a guest on my show.
Absolutely.
That is awesome. I'm so excited. I'm going to hold you to that. Thanks.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. The band is All That Remains. We're going on tour this spring with Born of Osiris and Dead Eyes. Start off in Albany on April 29th. We'll be out for about 3 weeks or so. You can check out All That Remains at allthatremainsonline.com or Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube, and Deezer. Don't forget the left lane is for crime.
You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. We will see you all at rumble.com/TimcastIRL in about 30 seconds. Thanks for hanging out.